Tammy Duckworth.
We will not allow the diversion of taxpayer dollars that were appropriated for military readiness and military training for Great Lakes to be diverted from that mission.
The agents could be deployed in a month. In New Orleans, there's mixed reaction to the possibility National Guard troops could be sent there to assist in crime fighting. Katie Weiss reports.
President Trump has said that it would only take 2 weeks to address what he calls a crime problem here in New Orleans, that it would be, quote, much easier than D.C. However, city data here in New Orleans shows that crime is actually down pretty much across the board in almost every category.
President Trump is expected to sign an executive order that sends a signal to countries that wrongfully detain Americans. Linda Kenyon has that.
The executive order sets up a new designation of state sponsors of wrongful detention. It allows the U.S. to punish countries that illegally detain Americans or take them hostage. Countries that engage in those actions often use Americans as political leverage. The State Department presently issues advisories to Americans planning international travel, with 21 countries on the do not travel list. Those countries include Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, Venezuela, and North Korea. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Trump is also expected to rename the Defense Department the Department of War. CBS's Charlie Daggett at the Pentagon.
What it means in terms of like changing all the signs in this building and all around the globe for that matter, which would cost tens of millions of dollars, if not much more than that, that might take an initiative from Congress. That might take congressional approval.
Another state is allowing greater access to COVID vaccines. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order today allowing pharmacists to administer the vaccine to patients as young as 3. Michael Wallace reports it's one of a growing number of states.
The FDA has only authorized COVID shots for people 65 and older or people who have underlying medical conditions. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was criticized for that new policy during a Senate hearing yesterday.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
Senator Cantwell, you're wrong.
California, Oregon, and Washington are forming an alliance to issue their own vaccine recommendations. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Employers added 22,000 jobs last month. That was less than analysts had forecast. On Wall Street, stocks are lower. The Dow is off nearly 250 points. This is CBS News.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Why are Seattle cops wearing San Francisco 49ers jerseys? The story coming up. But first, Nate Connors is at the KIRO Newsradio Traffic Center.
Thanks, Heather. Seattle Sports has our quick update. Looks like our collision in Renton at 180th and East Valley Road is clear. This is just west of State Route 167. Just a little backup still as you approach that intersection. In Bellevue, northbound 405, just before Southeast 8th. We just moved a crash out of your way. It's on the right shoulder now. You've got a brief backup starting at I-90. South 405 through Totem Lake and Northeast 124th. Collision on your right shoulder has traffic slowing down approaching the scene. South 5 heading into Seattle, already crowded from Northgate across the Ship Canal Bridge. Linwood to Seattle's at 25 minutes. Tacoma to Olympia, a 55-minute drive. South 5, you've got a 3-mile thick backup at the JBLM main gate, and then more slowing as you head into Olympia. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial on 97.3 HD2. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. A man is in custody after a deadly stabbing in Kirkland last night.
Around 11 p.m., a woman called 911 to report that she and her mother had been stabbed at the Kirkland Heights apartments along Northeast 132nd Street. Police say the women knew their attacker, and he took off before they got there. Eventually, Snohomish County Sheriff's deputies found him and took him into custody. The woman who called 911 had surgery, and her condition has been stabilized, but her mother died. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
6 months after a deadly crash in Richland, a Washington state trooper has been charged with 1 count of vehicular homicide. Body cam video showed 35-year-old Sarah Clayson refusing a breathalyzer at the scene.
So I'm just going to run you through some voluntary field sobriety tests if you're willing to, okay?
Yeah, I don't think I want to do any.
Investigators tell the Tri-City Herald Clayson was off duty and had a blood alcohol level of twice the legal limit when her car collided with a motorcycle, killing the 20-year-old biker. Seattle cops will be wearing 49ers jerseys Sunday when they patrol the stands at the Seahawks home opener, where Niners fans may just outnumber the 12s.
Ticket reseller Vivid Seats predicts 53% of those packing Lumen Field Sunday will be Niners fans. Ryan Harris, former Seattle News reporter and Bay Area native, says that could spell trouble.
49ers fans are thugs. You go to the game and you have to watch yourself even just trying to use the restroom.
He calls the move to disguise officers as Niners fans brilliant and exactly what's needed to help make the game a better experience for fans. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
A wildfire sparked by lightning Sunday has now grown to more than 7,100 acres. The Sugarloaf Fire is burning about 25 miles northeast of Leavenworth. Mario Martinez watched as the fire surged earlier, telling me,
"You could just see the whole sky was just like glowing red when it really caught fire."
Level 3 get out now evacuations are in effect for parts of the town of Ardenvor. On the Olympic Peninsula, the Bear Gulch fire has grown to more than 10,000 acres. It's 9% contained now. A new state report says grocery prices could jump 16% over the next 2 years if President Trump's tariffs go through. Governor Bob Ferguson shared the findings Thursday at a food bank in Seattle. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing sunshine with highs in the low 80s. It's 70 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO Newsradio.
Welcome to the show. Happy Friday, September 5th edition. Jake Skorheim here, sitting alongside Greg Tomlin and for Spike O'Neill. Greg, welcome to the show.
Jake, it's Happy Frank Friday for us as Patty was grilling up the hot dogs on the studio patio today.
Pretty nice.
Delish. Thank you, Patty. Yeah, but happy to be here. It's been a full week and a lot to talk about today.
Good, man. Also, Laura's gone today getting some stuff done, and Sophia joins us. People on the YouTube page will be very happy. You have a lot of fans on the YouTube page,
Apparently
Sophia.
so.
They like when you're in. All right. We got a lot of stuff to get to. Let's get to first things first here. Let's talk for just a second about this undercover cop story. Seattle police officers will be wearing opposing teams' jerseys because they're trying to crack down. Apparently in Seattle, I was unaware of this, but I guess at Lumen Field, fans at Lumen Field go pretty hard against opposing teams. Was this a reputation you were aware of, Greg?
Anecdotally, I would say yes. Generally, the temperament of the Seattle sports fan, I think, is somewhat reserved, more measured, and there's more of a friendly atmosphere. But pro football games in general, I think compared to most sports, you get a bit more of that unruly, kind of truculent, aggressive behavior, too much alcohol consumption, too much swearing, cursing, and people. Look, that's the nature. By the way, the nature of football is violence, right? So it's like everybody on the field is hitting somebody,
and it's not just in the stands. We literally, the opening game last night is now mired in controversy because
we got to get to that at some point,
which we'll talk about in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is some law enforcement and fans talk to Como News about their thoughts on these undercover police officers. Listen to this.
Law enforcement experts say blending in is a common practice for larger events like an NFL game.
It just keeps they get a feel for the tempo and what the crowd is like, and then they can report back to the uniforms if they need them to come help them with anything.
Others say that seeing people in uniform would be more reassuring to those in a packed stadium crowd.
Definitely makes the space feel more safer, just because it gets pretty rowdy here. With this high volume of traffic.
I know this is not a perfect analogy. I don't love this idea, but we have school resource officers. They don't show up dressed as children. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So
that would be awkward.
That would be awkward. It would be weird.
Hello, fellow kids.
It's that Steve Buscemi meme. I'm fine with them being. I love there being law enforcement officers at these games. There's obviously a massive amount of people. People get crazy and they do crazy things, but I think it's actually going to work probably more to the benefit of keeping things under control if you see uniformed police officers. This feels to me a little bit like entrapment, like you're trying, doesn't it? A little bit?
Yeah.
You're wearing a jersey, so you're already doing something that you're acknowledging may not people jaw at each other in sports games. I've been to opposing team stadiums. I've been to other field, like in baseball. I've gone to baseball games supporting the Mariners, wearing Mariners things. People will say things to you, but I'm not there. I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop, I swear. I'm not in their stadium, like trying to goad them into harassing me. That's just something that happens at stadiums.
And there's that technicality. Are they goading someone into bad behavior just by wearing the jersey itself? I don't think so, right? If you can't handle someone wearing an opposing team's uniform to the extent to where you have to go be aggressive, try to pick a fight, or do something criminal, I mean, maybe it's good we are finding out these people. On its surface, I think I would support more uniformed officers, wearing it on their sleeves, so to speak. I think that.
What do you mean by that? Wearing it on their sleeve?
Well, the fact that
dressed as fans?
The fact that they are cops wearing, their uniforms.
Well, they're dressed as
being
cops.
Very visibly cops, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, I don't know.
I'd like to know the cops are cops.
Yes, but I have a bit of nuanced view on this after reading some of the quotes in that story over at Como. So they had a worker that they interviewed who works at various restaurants right near Lumen Field. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, cops have tried this tactic before, sort of this undercover look. And the employee of one of these restaurants said last time the cops did this, whoever's causing a disruption gets caught very quickly right away, because I think it sort of hampers the elusive tactics of the otherwise person who's acting in bad behavior, right? Because if you see a cop, you're going to go, oh, I'm going to chill while I see the uniformed guy there. Good. Whereas if you don't think cops are around, you're going to be more brazen. You're going to be more, outright in your bad behavior.
Yeah, so just put a cop. Just like put a cop.
Well, but then there's 70,000 people there, so you're talking about a lot of cops in all areas at the same time.
How many sections are there? Like every couple of sections, you put a cop between every two sections, and then people go, hey, there's a cop right there. Like, stop harassing.
I think what I'm most disheartened by is the fact that it sounds like ticket sales, that Niner fans are outpacing Hawks fans in purchasing tickets, so they're just going to add to the numbers of the opposing team's fan base.
Are those even Niners fans, or are those just Seattle police officers?
They might just be cops. You're right.
This is the team said law enforcement at Lumen Field and event staff plan to proactively intervene for behaviors including a bunch of these. I agree with. You shouldn't do any of these things: over intoxication or signs of substance impairment, unruly, disruptive, or illegal behavior, verbal or physical harassment of other fans. Yeah, none of these are good. Obscene gestures or offensive language used to instigate, incite, or encourage a confrontation or physical assault. That one's tough for me. You shouldn't be making obscene gestures, but I don't know. I feel like that's a tricky gray area. Interfering with the progress of the game. Obviously, you shouldn't be running onto the field, including throwing objects onto the field. Not following stadium staff instructions, smoking or vaping. A lot of these are just run-of-the-mill. Selling merchandise or tickets or food. You can't do that.
Hot dogs from the pockets?
Yeah, a pocket dog.
That's something else.
That's a whole different kind of arrest.
Yeah, that's not for sale.
Disorderly conduct, deemed dangerous. Is that a hot dog in your pocket?
Actually, it is. They're $5. Well, I'm an undercover cop. You're going to jail.
This is a value dog.
No, but I want to validate some of law enforcement's concern here, because I don't know about you. I haven't taken my family to a Hawks game in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's partly because of some of the unruly behavior. And when I talk to family friends that have taken their kids, it's not uncommon to hear kind of a terrible story about fans that were just acting up and being crazy, and them saying, I'm not going back. I thought this was supposed to be kind of like a family environment.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, especially, maybe it depends on the section. I don't know where you're sitting, but it's
same
just
place everybody else does, right right on the field.
Drunken behavior that's over the top, and guys shouting in your ear. It's like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
I got an 8-year-old here. Hello.
No, that's true. You want it to be family friendly. I just don't like the idea that they're dressing in opposing teams' uniforms. There's something about that kind of gives me a little bit of an icky feeling. I just don't like it. It's okay if I don't like it.
Well, and I guess
it makes
it
me
would
right
sorta,
and you wrong.
I mean, what if they wore like Mariners jersey or something like that? And you're right when you bring up the word goading, because when you are wearing the opposing team things, you are being a little provocative, right? You are being a little like, oh, what are you going to do about it, huh?
Yeah, 100%. Like if they can show up in like a giant cheesehead thing, and you're just like, hey, nice cheesehead, and they're like, get on the ground immediately. I hope that's not the case, obviously. And I love cops, so I assume that.
Have them dress as prospectors.
There you go. Yeah, have them dress as other fun things. Like they don't have to dress as opposing teams thing. Have them dress as things that don't.
Charlie
don't draw
Chaplin
the
from
eye.
Gold Rush. So there's kind of a 49er tie in there, but not really.
There you go. That's a good idea.
We've settled this.
We've settled. Yeah, okay. All settled. Let us know on the text line, 888-973-5476. All right. This is another story I wanted to cover here. Seattle City Council member. Do we have audio on this? Seattle sounds. Yes, we do. Claudia Balducci has a good idea. She talked to Como's Chris Daniels about how to save some money. The reason I want to talk about this is it gives me the opportunity to share with you, after I play this clip, a very heartwarming, wonderful walk down memory lane that happened to me when I was producing for Dory Monson in another tunnel story. So I will tell you that story in just a minute. But first, let's hear about Claudia Balducci. She's trying to come up with suggestions for how to save $35 billion, which they just announced the other day. Like, they're going to be they need another $35 billion on top of the $100 billion extra that they actually are already over, on top of the original $54 billion estimate.
Yeah, and Claudia Balducci is the Sound Transit Board Vice Chair and King County Council member.
Yes, and I believe she's running for county exec as well. This is her suggestion to Como's Chris Daniels, and I think it's a good one.
How did this get so messed up?
So a lot of public works projects and private projects are seeing massive cost escalations. That is a $8 to $11 billion part of this project that we may not need. London is currently upgrading a tunnel that was first opened during the time of Abraham Lincoln's presidency to be able to carry as much freight as we want to carry in our tunnel that was built during the Reagan administration.
Those are very tough to follow references that she's making. Now, she's talking about the city of London in the UK, I believe. And she's also she's saying that they have a tunnel there that they're just upgrading that was built hundreds of years ago. And our tunnel locally here was built during the Reagan administration. So it's more recent.
Well, what's wild, and I don't know all about rail systems of our European brethren, but I think there's a light rail that goes under the English Channel.
Yeah.
It's like underwater and goes to France.
The channel.
To Great Britain. That's insane to me to think about just what a modern marvel that is.
Yeah, and they've had it for decades. It's fast.
Decades and decades, yeah.
They've done a good job. Very expensive. I think, actually, I could be wrong about this, but didn't we use a similar tunnel boring machine that they used for the channel? Can you look this up, Sophia?
That wasn't Big Ben. That was Bertha, right?
No. Wasn't that Big Bertha that they brought in to dig Big Bertha? I think that might have been a similar machine. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to Big Bertha in a second. Let's let her finish her clip here, and then we can talk about whether or not this is good savings, and then my Dory story.
Technology has improved. Our planning has improved. If we don't need the extra tunnel, that frees up funding for all parts of the system, not just Seattle.
What about that argument that the spine should be prioritized?
We have promised light rail to Tacoma and Everett for a very long time, and the taxpayers in this entire district have been paying into the system for a very long time. We need to deliver on the full plan that we promised.
I'm agreeing with a lot that she's saying here. What she's talking about with the spine there is in reference to Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell, who gave a speech the other day, surrounded by like 1,000 people for some reason. And he was saying that, hey, since we're going to run out of money, we need to prioritize West Seattle and Ballard, which even if it means pushing back or having to cancel other parts of the line that might go to Everett or Tacoma, which is a ridiculous suggestion, obviously. But his purview is Seattle, and he wants to, he's in the middle of a mayoral race, so he's going to say whatever he needs to say. I think that would be ridiculous, though. Everett and Tacoma, clearly they've paid into this enough. They're pot committed. They should get lines before West Seattle, who has access to buses, so they can have that. The other thing that she's suggesting there is that I found kind of frightening is it took her like 20 hours to come up with saving $11 billion. And she goes, we've advanced technology and this and that and yada, yada, yada. We could save $11 billion. We don't need to build it. How much other savings could they have that's similar? $11 billion is not a small amount of money.
No.
It's tough to even fathom how much $11 billion is, but when we hear that, we go, yeah, $11 billion. Like, I guess it's a chunk of the $30 billion that they need to make up. That is so much money. It's more than we spend. It's 1.5 times that Washington spends on transportation in the entire state for the year. Yep. So it's a huge savings. And the fact that she could just snap her fingers and come up with that, and then also say we actually don't need the thing that we told you we needed for $11 billion. That should raise people's red flags. And it's also a cut they should definitely do.
And let's highlight a few more numbers here just to bring home the point. and drive home the question of, are we getting the return on investment that we've been promised by Sound Transit? So they get $2.5 billion per year from sales tax, property tax, motor vehicle excise tax, and on and on and on. Federal grants. The average household, worth reiterating, almost $2,000 per year in taxes to Sound Transit, Jake, which is insane. Look, the most used, most effective parts of the system have already been built, yet ridership is below forecasted numbers. If they keep going farther and farther away from that downtown kind of core there, I think ridership is going to go even lower. I think they need to take a serious reexamination at some of these, some of the ST3 plan just as a whole.
Let me throw this at you, and just one quick correction. You were being too generous with their budget. It's $4.4 billion a year. That's with federal grants, all the money that they spend, it's $4.4 billion.
A billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you're talking real money, Jake.
Here is the Dory story that I want to share with you about this. So
it rhymes, so it better be good.
The Dory story. Dory Monson, greatest guy ever. My former boss, he had this show from noon to 3 for many years, did it better than anybody ever could. When I was producing for him, and we were talking about, do you remember Big Bertha, State Route 99 tunnel when it was being built?
Of course.
It was very controversial because they had, just like every major road project, they chose the absolute most expensive thing that they could possibly do, which was to tunnel under an existing city. It's the most expensive thing you can do. There was other ideas. They said, hey, what if we build a beautiful Bay Bridge like they have in the Bay Area, or like the Golden Gate Bridge? What if we build one of those? It will be cheaper, and we could build it across the water all the way to West Seattle, blah, blah, blah. They said, nah, it's too cheap. We don't want to do that. We'd rather spend more money. So they do the tunnel. Dory is making predictions the entire time that have proven completely correct in everything he predicted. Not just on the tunnel, but like everything he's predicted. So he says this tunnel's not going to be able to be built on time or on budget, and it's going to be years overdue, yada, yada. Of course it was. So as it was nearing its completion, after years of delays, he has me call up to the Washington State Department of Transportation, who hated him, by the way, like hated him. It wasn't even a love-hate. They just hated him, as did Governor Gregoire at the time, as did, I think, who was mayor at the time? Was it Nichols? It must have been Nichols. And so I'm the producer, and so my job as a producer is to make the behind-the-scenes phone calls and to request things for the host. And so Dory comes in one morning, and he goes, hey, I got a fun idea. I want to be chained to the concrete wall as Big Bertha comes through, because she was the projected date of arrival was this certain date. They'd made like all this hay about how it was going to burst through. And he goes, I want you to call down there. He goes, they hate me. They'll probably love this idea. They hate me. So I want you to call down there and tell them that I would like to volunteer my body to be chained to the concrete wall, and as Big Bertha comes through,
as tribute,
as Big Bertha comes through, it will chew through him if she comes through. Of course, he knew it wasn't going to come through, and so I was like, "Really? You want me to call on that?" And he goes, "Yeah, just it'll be good. Go ahead." And so he sat there listening as we went into a studio and recorded it. Actually, it was really funny. We played it on the show. I don't have the recording. I wish I did. I'd play it for you. So he sits there and he's listening to me, and you guys remember Dory. He just had like the best laugh in the world, and he was the funniest guy, and he is laughing his butt off in the background as I'm talking to WashDOT, because we had all their phone numbers. We called them up, and I'm like, yeah, Dory would really like, and I was like, this is going to sound awkward, but it's a real thing. He would like to be chained to the wall, and then to hear their reaction as they were like trying to figure out if I was joking or if I was serious.
With the deadpan delivery, yeah.
So they had to go to their bosses and get either official approval or denial for Dory Monson to be chained to the wall. Long story short, they ended up turning us down. Yeah. And Big Bertha was still many months, if not a year after that, before she finally burst through. And at a cost of only I think it was near $1 billion in overruns or just shy of $1 billion. But when you think about where we're at today, where they're just saying, hey, we got $35 billion, we're over. That seems like pie in the sky territory. To be only $1 billion over, that's a raging success by public standards. Anyway, I want to share that story because I laugh every time I think of it. So hope you enjoyed it. All right. We have a lot more coming up. The city of Seattle is, the school system is saying that parents are not going to have the right to make a choice for their children in a very specific area. And I would like to talk about it next. So stick around. Be right back.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We continue to be in recovery mode on northbound I-5.
Watch live on YouTube or the KIRO News Radio app.
Newfangled idea of having to see the people while they're talking.
The office, the gym, wherever you are.
Get on the YouTube channel. The whole gang's there.
KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM, powered by MyNorthwest.com.
One thing you can always count on is a change in the weather. Time to protect your home now with the help from the pros at Integrity Roofing and Construction. With years of experience in roofing and restoration, their skilled team delivers exceptional craftsmanship, whether it's a simple roof repair or a full renovation. Integrity offers free estimates, and their customer satisfaction speaks for itself. Don't wait until the next storm hits. Schedule your free estimate today. Call Integrity at 206-202-ROOF or visit online at integrityrc.com. That's integrityrc.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill. But those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in. Cool as can be. Tap GoodRx. Saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Cars for Kids, the easy way to donate your car. Donate today and your car can be picked up tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.com or 1-877-CARS4KIDS.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. A former Alaska Airlines pilot accused of trying to shut off the engines of an airplane in mid-flight today pleaded guilty in federal court to interfering with the flight crew, according to the Seattle Times. This afternoon, he's expected to plead no contest to Oregon state charges of endangering an aircraft and 83 misdemeanor counts of reckless endangerment. Investigators say Joseph David Emerson was off duty and hitching a flight home to Everett when he reached for the engine cutoff switches. He told CBS what was going through his mind.
You're not going home, you need to wake up. And that's when I acted. And I pulled the handles that were in front of my face.
He later told police he had depression and had consumed hallucinogenic mushrooms 48 hours before the flight. A Pakistani native who was arrested when he turned up for a citizenship interview in Tukwila is now being deported. Mohammed Zahid Chowdhury's wife told me he's a disabled U.S. military veteran who's lived in the country for 25 years. And now
my family is torn in pieces and my soul is shredded, and I have to explain this to our two little children who don't know what happened to their baba.
Homeland Security says Chowdhury has a criminal past in Australia, which he lied about to obtain a green card in the U.S. Federal agents have arrested 475 undocumented immigrants working for Hyundai in southern Georgia. The workers, many of them Korean nationals, were helping to build a new electric vehicle battery plant at Hyundai's huge complex near Savannah. Homeland Security has asked the Pentagon to make space for about 250 federal agents at a military base in Illinois. This is ahead of expected immigration roundups in Chicago. CBS's Darius Johnson reports.
How do you spell fascist? I-C-E!
Chanting can be heard outside the facility that the mayor of Broadview, Illinois, says will become the primary hub for federal immigration operations, running 7 days a week for at least 45 days. Activists call the conditions inside inhumane, pointing to reports of people being held here for days without beds, blankets, or basic hygiene.
Employers added just 22,000 jobs in August. That's down from 79,000 new jobs in July. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
I think when you put the last 3 or 4 months together, what we really do see is a labor market that's slowing down. We saw the unemployment rate tick up to 4.3%. That's the highest level in 4 years.
On Wall Street, the Dow is down 236 points, NASDAQ off 32. Nate Connors is at the KIRO News Radio traffic desk.
Thanks, Heather. We are collision free at the moment. Southbound 405 is starting to fill in, though, from I-90 to the VMAC in Renton. Bellevue to Renton still at a good pace, taking less than 20 minutes. South 5 heading into Seattle is crowded from Northgate into downtown. Linwood to Seattle, you're at a half hour. North 5 slows just briefly there at the West Seattle Bridge. You'll get through that pretty quickly. Our lake bridges continue to look good. Tacoma to Olympia still at 55 minutes with your usual 3-mile thick backup there at the JBLM main gate. More slowing as you head into Olympia. And a heads up, the downtown Seattle tunnel closes in both directions overnight for routine maintenance starting tonight at 10 o'clock through 6 a.m. Saturday morning. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing sunshine with highs in the low 80s. It's 70 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome. For many people, this was the week that folks started going back to school. Kids started going back to school. Big deal. My kids, 2 of my 3 kids started school this week. And then the way that my school district does it, and they're in public school, is the kindergartners start the week after. So there's kind of like this little grace period where They get to see their older siblings go back into the sludge of things, and then they get to jump in after. Because it's a big deal going to school for the first time.
Ease them into it, yeah.
Yeah, like a week before school starts, when everybody's still on summer break, they have like 3 days where the kids come in, they get to meet the teacher, they get to meet their classmates. It's a very soft start because it's such a big deal to be in a new environment for them. And they're away from mom and dad, many of them, for the first time for most of the day. And, like my kid was in preschool before, but preschool was like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. And then kindergarten is, you're jumping straight into like 8 hours. That's a long time for a kid. So they get to come in, they get to see the Legos and the, pardon me, and the, whatever the kids play with in kindergarten things, kid things. So I'm right in the heat of this kindergarten conversation. There was a news story that got really, really a ton of press about Washington State because we have in our state the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, a guy named Chris Reichdahl. He has a mandate that kids there's gender education that happens in lower grades, probably more so than, if you're listening, probably more than it was the case when you were growing up. And folks have taken a little bit of a pause when they heard how young this education starts. And also just a fair warning, the stuff we're talking about may not feel like it's appropriate for your kids. So if you do have a kid in the car and you don't want them, hearing this part of the discussion, I just want to give you the heads up that, we're talking about a more adult topic. And maybe you check in later with us on the podcast after your kid's not in the car with you. Or maybe you're fine with it, and that's fine too. So anyway, one of the requirements is that they have some of these discussions about gender. And according to Reichdahl, how many types of genders there might be and how people can change genders and all these different things as young as kindergarten. And these conversations start in kindergarten. And when folks heard that, they went, oh, that feels kind of early for an age group when normally you're focusing on the ABCs and just getting used to the process of being in school. So a lot of people started asking, all right, well, if this is part of the sexual, what is it called here? They call it, there's like a comprehensive sexual health education, CSHE. If this is part of that, we all got that letter home when we were in school where it says, hey, parents, just want to give you a heads up. We're going to be discussing these topics, which can be more mature in content with your children. You need to sign this if you want them to participate. That's what they had to do when I was even in high school. That's what they had to do. Did you go through that experience, Greg?
Yeah, I did. And of course, I vaguely recollect, my parents signing a piece of paper. But all I do know is that the ideas we were taught were far less comprehensive at earlier ages.
It's a very nice way of putting it.
Very tame, very tame. I told you in the pre-show meeting, my first recollection of any kind of sex education or puberty education in a formal setting at a public school was a talk, I think it was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I remember our eyes, just widened as our teacher said, hey guys, when some of you go through puberty, your feet are going to start to stink. And we were all like, what?
Wait a minute.
This is insane. Or like, you're going to grow hair on certain parts of your body. And we were just like astounded.
Wait, what?
And that was like controversial enough, back in the day.
And your parents probably were aware that you were going to be having those conversations and they had to sign off on it.
Yes, and I'm just thinking, comparing that to nowadays and some of the instruction and or indoctrination that the kids at the most tender of ages get is, I think, safe to say, outrageous to people like me and you, Jake.
Here's the problem that I have with this. I'm not denying that there are people who are choosing to live their life in whatever way they choose to live them. I couldn't give two cares, whatever. Do your thing. God be with you. But introducing these ideas to 5- and 6-year-olds in kindergarten, very complex ideas, things that they're not even coming up with in their head. They're just, again, like when I was in kindergarten, my primary function was like, I kind of want to eat that paste. Those markers sure smell good. I come home every day with a green nose because I'm smelling the mint markers. And that was what I was doing in kindergarten.
That checks out, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So the problem that I have with this is not that I have no problem with whatever. Like, again, people do your thing. The problem that I have with it is you have the Seattle School District who is saying, and the Office of Public Instruction who is saying that parents are not allowed to opt out of these conversations.
Yeah, there's a statement up at seattleschools.org right now that says about opt-out requests. And it basically says in bold type, there's no option to opt students out of learning about particular identities or groups of people. And let's get down to brass tacks and not completely beat around the bush here, but we're talking about probably the most controversial issue of the day, which is, can boys identify as girls and girls identify as boys? Let's just say it for what it is. This is one of the defining issues of this moment in time for American culture. I truly believe it. And it's sensitive, absolutely.
People are all over the map on their
controversial.
opinions.
There's a lot of people who make broad, sweeping statements that are provocative on both sides of this issue. So when we were doing show prep on this, Jake, there are some topics that lend themselves to a more spontaneous or a more improvisational reaction to and require less show prep, and you kind of just
This is not one of them.
This is not one of them.
No, because you don't want to put your foot in it and find yourself in a bad position.
It's very important to speak in a judicious way on this topic and make sure you get your words right. So I wrote down some notes and some bullet points of some things I wanted to hit on this issue specifically. And so bear with me a moment, because I actually do think it's important to bring in some historical context to this issue in terms of what we're teaching our kids when and how have we done that traditionally in the U.S. So follow me for a second, 30,000-foot view. Judeo-Christian teachings and values used to be inextricably linked to the education system in America for most of U.S. history. Religion, though, has steadily been on the decline, right? I'm not breaking any news here. And so those more traditional religious values and principles have been replaced in public schools with more sort of secular, sentimental platitudes of things like, well, here's our values teaching. Be a good person, be kind, be caring, be nice to one another. But in my opinion, there's now no metaphysical or compelling basis as to why a person must act in this way or what it means to necessarily be a good person, right? So public schools and an education system that necessitates some form of values teaching has now been flooded with all kinds of new ideas that are subversive to more Judeo-Christian values that used to be ubiquitous at school, okay? And so these values, though, tend to kind of shift with the winds of culture. So today, to be a good, caring person, quote unquote, to some people that means you have to acknowledge, recognize, and endorse a notion that boys can become girls and girls can become boys and vice versa. So tomorrow it might be something completely different, but that seems to be the issue of the day right now. Suffice it to say, those of us families that still adhere to more religious values and instruction for our children but are subjected to state-run schools, we now need either the option to opt out of secular indoctrination, or we can choose to pay, in addition to our taxes that we already pay for school, for a private institution where our kids are going to get a reiteration of values that they get at our home. The Supreme Court just ruled on this in June. And what I consider a landmark case. And it basically said schools need to provide this opportunity for families to opt out. And so the controversy here is, if Seattle is not allowing for this, I mean, this could fly in the face of a major ruling nationwide recently.
Yeah. I think it would be very interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys. 888-973-5476. When I first heard, I mean, my kids are not in Seattle School District, so I'm speaking about Seattle School District, and I'm looking into currently what my kid's school district does. But the idea that you're telling parents you don't have a say in how you introduce realities of life, they're going to run into all walks of people in life, but it's your decision as a parent, I believe. It's common sense, it seems, when to introduce some of those ideas, because you know your kids. You know how they're going to best receive information. And that's under the purview of the parents. The school shouldn't be able to tell parents, you're not allowed to opt your kids out of these conversations. That seems very wrong to me. It sounds like the Supreme Court agrees. So we'll see how this plays out. Very interesting stuff, though. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around. We will be right back.
Man wide open, touchdown Seahawks.
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. OpenPhone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. OpenPhone lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you and your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? OpenPhone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With OpenPhone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with OpenPhone. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try OpenPhone for free at openphone.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/free. openphone.com/FREE.
Is it me or is it musty?
Oh, damp. Check the bathroom.
Damp! Wait!
Yeah?
I'm ordering Damp Rid!
Get rid of the damp by trapping excess moisture with Damp Rid.
Vanity Fair calls BritBox a delicious streamer. Collider says everyone should be watching. Catch Britain's next best series with BritBox. Stream acclaimed new originals like Code of Silence.
You read lips, right?
And Linley, based on the best-selling mystery series.
G.I. Linley. Take it from here.
And don't miss the new season of Karen Piri, coming this October.
You don't look like police. I'll take that as a compliment.
See it differently when you stream the best of British TV with BritBox. Watch with a free trial today.
Let's go! You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
At Care Partners Senior Living, we believe in providing quality care at an affordable price. Instead of spending on luxury and expensive art, we invest in our people and accommodations with a focus on compassionate overall health. Our communities offer independent, assisted living and memory care designed to preserve dignity, independence, in your estate. Affordable, personal, trusted. That's our promise. Please give us a call. We have beautiful Care Partners communities throughout Washington and Arizona. Visit carepartnersliving.com.
Citizens, since we each upgraded to Xfinity in our homes, the Wi-Fi has been booming. It's fair to say our town has officially become a boomtown.
Mayor, will I be able to drop into multiplayer gaming battles with low lag?
The lag won't be an issue, but your questionable skills, maybe.
And what if I have hundreds of devices on the Wi-Fi? Purely hypothetical.
Seems like a lot, but sure, hundreds of devices all booming together with the Xfinity Gateway. Yes, friends and neighbors, with Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming.
The Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Now get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best-in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed. All in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract. All with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with X5 Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on OpenSignal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Tired of uneven home heating and high energy bills? The Quilt Ductless Heat Pump from Home Comfort Alliance gives you room-by-room control and serious savings. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. This was really funny. I saw this, made me laugh. I want to share it with you. I love to laugh. Police departments. This was the Sherwood, Oregon police. It sounds like a very idyllic little town. They're funny there, so I highly recommend visiting, but not if you're going to break the law. They posted this on their, I believe this was on their X account, and they labeled it as a missed connection, and they're looking for somebody. It's just a tongue-in-cheek, funny way of trying to find somebody they think was breaking the law. So I'm going to read this to you. Sherwood, Oregon, and also you should note they have a picture of the woman that they're describing in this missed connections in the aisle where which is, I believe, in Walmart, but where I think some of the thieving may have taken place. And she is a very unique-looking individual. So when they describe her in the way they do, they nail it exactly. So this is the misconnection. I'm going to read this to you. Our paths, don't forget, this is a police station Twitter page. Our paths crossed last night, and you didn't give me the chance to introduce myself. It makes me sad because our connection was meant to be. You were leaving Walmart wearing a Nike jacket, screaming, "Just took it," vibes, rocking a bun that looks like it just lost a fight with a weed whacker, and having eyebrows that are the victim of assault and battery. Hashtag criminally thin, hashtag just drew it. Who comes up with this stuff? Quick aside, Sophia, you thought this might be AI? Because it's too clever?
Well, no, I want to believe that someone wrote it because it is so clever. But I was like, do you think someone came up with it? But honestly, reading it, the humor in it, I want to believe it's human.
It feels human.
It's human.
Or AI is like really good at burning people.
Yeah, I know. It was a good roast.
So they continue on. They say, you looked at me with your hashtag resting mugshot face as you quickly loaded merchandise into your silver Toyota Corolla with Washington plates. So if you hear this, if this sounds like somebody familiar to you, call the Sherwood, Oregon police. I turned around as you were leaving the parking lot and followed you. I turned on my blueberries and cherries after you committed multiple traffic violations, but you took off from me at a high rate of speed through an active construction zone. Hashtag bun on the run. I went back to Walmart and looked at security footage, confirming you just stole that merchandise. You were walking around like every aisle owed you money and giving off vibes of an angry substitute teacher who confiscates snacks and keeps them. Hashtag a grape in justice. I would love the opportunity to reignite our connection. If anyone knows how we can connect with her from this episode of Most Wanted Arches, please reach out to, and then they provide a phone number. Very funny. Did you see the picture of this, Greg? We should post this. Can we post this somewhere, Sophia? Is there somewhere we can post? I'll put this on my I'll post this on my X page so you guys can see it there, at Jake Skorheim. Do you think that they'll catch this person, and do you like this sort of thing, Greg?
I think the better chance of catching this perpetrator now with this post is obviously garnering attention beyond just the city of Sherwood. You and I think in movie speak a lot. So when I read this post, I thought of Tyler Durden in Fight Club. Oh, that's very clever. How's that working out for you being clever? You know what? I don't know. I have very mixed feelings, and see if you follow me on this for a moment. I think the digital age has sort of changed our psychology fundamentally in so many ways. And though I do agree this is clever, smart, funny, and an interesting way to try to catch a perp, I also relate this to what develops in like emergency rooms, which is a bit of like gallows humor.
Yeah.
So law enforcement, you're seeing the worst of humanity on a regular basis, right? And it can be overwhelming,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And you start to get a skewed version of what humans are like because you're just seeing the worst element over and over. In emergency rooms, you're seeing blood, you're seeing death, you're seeing loved ones heartbroken and stuff. And so to deal with that, part of you copes with it by sort of making light of it or joking about it in a way just to maintain your sanity a little bit.
It's why the divorce rates for homicide detectives are so high, because they see these horrible, horrible things, and then you can't help it. Like, that bleeds into your normal life. So you bring that home.
So what's your coping mechanism, right? And oftentimes humor is a way to deal with it.
This is just funny, though. I mean, this is like this is petty crime. It's not like this person murdered anybody.
Agreed. But,
so it's easier to laugh at.
Let me also relate this to, do you remember what happened yes, of course you do, the Coldplay concert the other day?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it was a month ago probably.
The affair, the cheating.
The couple who was caught having an affair, and they're on the Jumbotron, and they hide their faces. It became meme fuel for the masses. We've all joked about it. It's hilarious, and late-night comedy hosts have gotten weeks and weeks and weeks of jokes out of it. Part of me at the same time says, when we just make fun of things constantly for our online entertainment or our amusement, it kind of belittles the human tragedy that is actually a part of what we're poking fun of. So in that Coldplay case, it's like, Oh, here you have a family that was just destroyed. You have terrible mistakes made, awful decisions, kids they're gonna have like separated parents now and all this. And that's a real human tragedy, and that's going to be felt for generations, right? But for us in the digital space and on smartphones, we get a few kicks out of it and we keep scrolling with our thumbs. And so I just like to pose to you, like, there's a human tragedy here. There's a person who has turned to a life of crime. They're making terrible decisions with their life. Mm-hmm. It's awful. Does it belittle a little of that nature to poke fun at it? Or is that apples and oranges, what I'm kind of comparing there?
No, I see what you're saying. You're correct.
Maybe it's just a risk, but it's not actualized in every incident.
The cynical nature of laughing at these things is probably not the desirable place to be. You'd want to be more like, very in touch with humanity and all that. I just thought this was funny.
So both things can be true. Exactly.
All right. We got a lot more coming up. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-298-7906. 800-298-7906.
I'm Captain John Kelly with the Salvation Army. The Seattle Addiction Recovery Program helps men break free from addiction at no cost to them through physical, emotional, and spiritual growth. That's why our success rate is nearly 4 times the national average. While participants pay nothing, it costs the Salvation Army about $10,000 to help one person graduate into recovery. Want to help? Join us for the Red Shield Classic Golf Tournament, September 11th at Echo Falls. Register or donate at tsaredshieldclassic.org. Together, we can change lives.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. More states are lining up to offer COVID vaccines. New York's governor's making them available without a prescription, as Linda Kenyon reports.
Governor Kathy Hochul says she had no choice but to take action.
To have the federal government say that only people over the age of 65, and they don't even recommend it for expectant mothers anymore, and not cover children and family members, I don't understand that.
The governor's order means people in the state of New York won't have to go to a doctor to get a prescription before they can get a COVID vaccine. Following Hochul's action, CVS released a statement saying COVID vaccines will be available as soon as possible at all New York locations. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Federal agents detained 475 people today at a Hyundai factory near Savannah, Georgia. Reporter Bill Caiaccio has the latest.
Most of them are Korean nationals.
We are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
Stephen Schrank with Homeland Security says this comes after a multi-month investigation. He says some crossed the border illegally, some came through visa waiver and were prohibited from working, and others overstayed their visas. Most are held at an ICE facility in Georgia. Bill Caiaccio for CBS News, Atlanta.
In Chicago, some protesters gathered ahead of a possible federal crackdown on immigrants there.
We do not want ICE in our communities. They do not make me safer. Instead, they disrupt families, they break families, and they disappear my neighbors. We want them out.
CBS's Tracy Wolf reports President Trump is targeting wind energy again.
President Trump is expanding his efforts to dismantle wind energy by enlisting the help of 7 government agencies, including the Departments of Health and Human Services and Defense, to investigate health and national security concerns surrounding offshore wind development. Since taking office, the administration has threatened or blocked 8 gigawatts of wind energy, the equivalent of 8 nuclear reactors, from moving forward.
Russian President Putin said today that any foreign troops deployed to Ukraine could be considered legitimate targets by Russian forces. His comments came hours after European leaders repledged their commitment to a potential peacekeeping force. Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Even though Russia is trying to keep this war going, and we've already started building a security system that can push Russia toward peace.
Employers added 22,000 jobs last month. That was less than expected and a further sign of hiring slowdown. On Wall Street, stocks finished lower. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
2 men accused of burglarizing Seattle celebrities' homes are charged. Details coming up, but first, Nate Connors is in the KIRO Newsradio Traffic Center.
Thank you, Heather. We're looking good out there. Just a few spots of building volumes like South 405. You're crowded from South Bellevue into Renton near the VMAC. Bellevue to Renton, plan out 20 minutes. North 405 approaching Southeast 8th there in Bellevue. We still have this collision on your right shoulder. It isn't blocking, but drivers are jamming up at the scene. Now, once you get through this tiny backup, you're in the clear. South 5 into Seattle, we're getting heavier from Northgate into downtown. Linwood to Seattle is going to take you a half hour. North 5 crowded from the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. Tacoma to Olympia, you just hit the 1 hour mark. Really, the only significant backup here is a 3 to 4 mile thick stretch at the JBLM main gate. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. 2 men suspected of burglarizing the homes of local celebrities, including Macklemore and Ichiro, have now been charged with multiple felonies.
King County prosecutor spokesman Casey McNerthney says when a celebrity's home gets hit, it ought to trouble the rest of us.
Pro athletes who have, in many cases, their own security and great cameras, if their homes can be broken into, it leaves the rest of us pretty vulnerable.
Patrick Masonette was charged with 10 felonies. A suspected co-conspirator, Earl Riley, was charged in June. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Lakewood police have released video of an attempted kidnapping at a bikini barista stand. It shows a man lunging through a drive-through window, grabbing the barista's arm and trying to pull her out. She resists and he lets go. During an interview obtained by KIRO 7 TV, the suspect, 19-year-old Ezekiel Guerrero, told police,
"It was a mistake. It was honestly, I didn't mean it. Like, that's not me, I promise."
He says he was drunk and made a mistake. He faces attempted kidnapping charges. The man known as the Spokane South Hill rapist may soon walk free. That's according to State Senator Mark Schessler, who says the state is considering the unconditional release of Kevin Coe.
Imagine somebody that police believe committed over 40 rapes walking free today. That's terrible.
That sound courtesy Senate Republicans. Coe was convicted of multiple rapes in the early 80s, though only one conviction still stands. A hearing on his potential release is set for October 2nd. Seattle police are going undercover as 49ers fans. The move is to keep fans of both teams from getting out of hand at Sunday's Hawks game against San Francisco at Lumen Field. Former Seattle radio personality and current Bay Area resident Ryan Harris says it's the real 49er fans you got to watch out for.
There's always fights and people getting beat up and hurt. It's a really rough and sometimes dangerous crowd.
Kickoff is at 1:05 p.m. Sunday. Big changes are coming to Westlake Park ahead of the World Cup next summer. Seattle Parks and Rec says construction will begin next month to revamp the downtown space. It'll reopen in the spring with new amenities and a more open layout. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing sunshine today with highs in the low 80s. It's 74 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the show. Lots of singing happening right here.
It's Friday. Just feel good. You want to belt out the melodies. And
we're happy people. I got a joy in my heart, so I sing. A lot of stuff to get to, Greg, in this hour. You're laughing.
No doubt.
All right, tons of stuff to get to, which we will right now. Let's just jump right into it. Washington, along with California and Oregon, and I believe now Hawaii as well. Did Hawaii jump into this West Coast Alliance?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's like the Avengers.
It's like the new Avengers.
The new Avengers.
What is that movie called? They just came out with that movie. It's called, and it's got that little asterisk, and it's new. It's like New Avengers.
It's so memorable. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
It's not called Bumblebees, is it? What is it called, Sophia? What's it called?
Is it the Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Why did I think it was Bumblebees?
Because the whole imaging is yellow, so it looks like a bumblebee. So
it's got a bee in it, bolts, right? So Bumblebee. That sounds
maybe.
Whatever. Thunderbolts. All right, so this is you're right, Greg. This is the equivalent of the new Thunderbolt movie. I'm going to read to you a little bit of this. I have a question for you guys, and I'd like your opinion on this. Let me read you a little bit about this, and then we can chat about it. Washington, this is from Seattle Times. Washington is teaming up with Oregon and California to form an alliance that will soon issue recommendations around COVID-19 vaccinations, an effort to counter last week's decision for federal regulators to approve the shots for just a portion of the population. Let's see. Those recommendations will likely differ from the vaccine approvals that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, issued last week, which greenlit updated COVID vaccines from Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, all the gang, to target newer variants. But unlike in previous years, the approval applies only to adults over 65 and anyone 6 months and older who has at least one underlying condition that puts them in a higher risk category of complications from COVID. So it's going to be different. This will be obviously pushback and a response. It feels like everything they're trying to do now is like, how do we differentiate ourselves from Trump?
No question.
And I think you're going to see it primarily on the coastal, on the coasts.
The blue states of America.
The blue states.
The left coast.
Boy, the left coast. Jeez Louise. So yes, you will. And so they have now made an official recommendation. This is as of today. Washington State Department of Health made its own official recommendation that everyone 6 months and older get the COVID-19 vaccine. So not just people who have some sort of a complication or an underlying condition. They're recommending it for everybody over 6 months of age. Now, we talked about this yesterday. Does this change your opinion of how we discussed it yesterday on which kids should get it now that Washington Health Alliance, the Thunderbolts, are recommending it for 6 months and older?
Yeah, no, I think people shouldn't dismiss the recommendation. And then I also think that people should maybe take a posture of trust but verify, which I regularly do. And I still don't think I'm going to vaccinate my kids against COVID-19. I just don't think that it negatively affects adolescents to that level where I should be that concerned and they need to get a jab, but that's my choice.
And it's interesting.
And I had COVID over the summer, and for me it was the sniffles and a sore throat for like 4 or 5 days. I know other people that got COVID over the summer. There was actually a big spike in cases, but that where it knocked them out. I mean, they dealt with it
varying degrees,
and it was very tough on them. So again, I think it varies from person to person, but I'm just not in the habit of dismissing recommendations or data offhand just because it might come from a source that
you might be more favorable to or less favorable to.
But isn't that the great tragedy that has sort of come out of COVID?
Yeah.
And maybe it happened for good reason. But again, we touched on this theme yesterday, but just the level of distrust in health officials has just plummeted. So people are kind of left to go, well, I guess I lean more to the left, so I'll trust my left-wing governor when it comes to health. Or, hey, I lean more to the right, and I trust Trump and RFK Jr. more. I don't know if you watched a lot of that hearing yesterday, Jake. I did for my sins. And then on Twitter, I follow sort of equal parts left wing accounts and right-wing accounts, and just because I kind of like to see what people are highlighting, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't uncommon to see analysis like this, partisan analysis. RFK Jr. owns Senator, clip. RFK Jr. rips Senator, puts him in his place, clip. Conversely, Senator slaps down RFK
Maria
Jr.
Cantwell puts RFK Jr.
Senator
in his place.
tears apart RFK Jr. clip accompanying. And I just thought, is this getting any of us anywhere at the end of the day? If you like RFK Jr., you're going to support him. If you don't, you're going to side with the senator.
You don't even have to like him. You don't even have to think he's right on all things. But I do think one of the reasons that I am totally fine with him having that job is that I like the idea of questioning who's giving us this information. So if it's coming from Big Pharma, who has a vested interest and is making money to get these drugs approved and into the veins of everybody, then yes, I'm okay with them looking into, all right, what's the process for approving some of these things? Are they absolutely necessary for us? And if they're not, like one of them is a hepatitis B shot that they give to everybody.
Yeah.
And I asked one time when we were, I forget which kid it was, but they were like, all right, you got to get your hepatitis B shot. And I was like, hepatitis B, like, isn't that a condition that would much more likely happen with adults? Who are having unsafe things, and they're like, well, you could bring it into the home if you or your spouse. And I'm like, well, we're a happily married couple. Is this going to be an issue for us? I don't think so. So is it absolutely necessary? Well, it's not absolutely necessary, but the point is they're making these recommendations, and I think it's okay to pause for a second and ask questions about it. It doesn't mean that you're an anti-vax person. I think it's okay to pause and ask questions.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
Like this, here's my thing. For this Ferguson Health Alliance, for the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
For the Thunderbolts, they're saying like, all right, because Trump suggested this, because his health department suggested this, we're going to do the opposite. And they're saying for 6 months and older who have at least one underlying condition, which is also consistent with what they're doing in most countries in Europe, like the UK. The UK does not offer this to kids unless you have an underlying previous condition. I don't think they find that probably particularly controversial. It kind of makes good sense to me. It's a very low-risk category, so to put an experimental drug into your brand new baby seems to me a risk that certainly I'm not willing to take. But if you were to read these stories, you're being presented with the idea that like, oh, Governor Ferguson's stepping in, he's saving all of Washington babies from a vicious Trump who's just suggesting, listen, for 65 and older, everybody's approved. For 6 months and older, you have to have an underlying condition.
Well, and this quote stuck out to me from the Seattle Times piece. The mission here is to offer West Coast residents credible information about vaccine safety and efficacy.
So they're saying that everywhere in the UK is not credible?
I mean, there's the main word, though, is credible, the phrase credible information.
Yeah.
And my question comes back to a fundamental thing, which is, how can we tell what credible information is in this day and age? The Seattle Times talks about it as if it's like self-evident.
Sure.
Like, this is the credible information
We
here.
hold
This
these
is the,
credible informations to be self-evident.
Yeah, axiomatic. But again, back to the RFK thing as it relates to this, and I think you're right to tie it all together. I think he is a byproduct of what happened during the pandemic. I'll just be frank with you. I disagree with RFK Jr. more than I agree with him, but I can see how he's been brought to this position of power.
Sure.
Because I believe so many countless things were mishandled during the pandemic. I also believe that we should be charitable and have a little grace for not knowing the exact way in every facet for how to handle it. Some people went too far, some people didn't go far enough, and everything in between. And so I look back at that period and just say, man, what a crazy time.
Thank God we're not there anymore.
Thank God we're not there anymore, but we still are kind of there. And again, we're dealing with some of the fallout from what happened from that, and we haven't fully recovered as a society because you're seeing this further fracturing now. And like I said yesterday, I think you're going to have partisan health recommendations going forward here.
But that's what we're seeing right now.
Every department of government now is going to be whether it's labor statistics or the CDC.
Here's how you
so
see
on
it
and
if you
so
live
forth.
in Washington.
Well,
and here's how you see it if you live in Montana.
Does data come from a right-wing source? Well, we trust the data from a right-wing source. Well, no. Is it a left-wing source? Well, we live in Washington, so we trust the data from the left-wing source. And that's a disaster. I mean, I don't know how we ever fully recover from that.
You know, the other thing that I think is here's the red flag that I had when I was reading about the Thunderbolts or the West Coast Health Alliance.
The Thunderbolts.
When I was reading about the Thunderbolts, I was thinking to myself, are these the same people who made the not just the recommendations, they ended careers based on settled science. Do you remember when Jay Inslee had a vaccine mandate for every state worker? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. I had a friend who moved to Tennessee during it, who worked for the state.
Who worked for the state, probably. Yeah. So they were requiring, if you wanted to keep your job, you had to get vaccinated. So they were going to force you to make a medical decision. They were making a medical decision for you, or they were saying, or get out. Now, there was the sense there has been lawsuits where they have had to pay out. And I think they should, because you're forcing people to make these medical decisions. And they fired, what was the number? Was it like 2,000 or over 2,000 state workers?
That's a lot.
A ton of people, a bunch of them in the Washington State ferry system, which now they can't get boats running on time because they don't have staff, because nobody wants to go work for the Washington State ferry system anymore because they felt like you guys just like totally kicked us to the side of the road. These are jobs primarily too, where these people were literally standing in windy corridors outside almost the entire time that they were doing their job, and still probably would have been in masks and still all of these things. Those people, I think, would be pretty safe on the job to not infect other folks. Those people were just fired and sent down the road. And they said at the time, oh, well, we know this is a fact, this is settled science, yada, yada, yada. You go into a restaurant.
That was wrong.
And that was wrong.
Yeah.
So now they're going to be the same group of people who are stepping in saying, hey, you know what? We're going to give you, what was the word you had earlier?
Credible information.
Credible information. Was that credible information?
According to them,
all these people lost their jobs? Are these the same people who are going to be making these decisions now?
Right. Was it credible information to say we should keep schools closed indefinitely when we know for a fact that kids age 0 to 18, COVID affects them very minimally?
Almost zero risk.
And yet we do know the science that if you keep schools closed, it leads to disastrous developmental effects on children.
Yeah.
So what's the credible information there?
My oldest was starting kindergarten when they shut down schools. He spent his entire year, I still have a gripe about this, that he spent this entire year staring at a little screen. You ask a 5-year-old to sit in front of a computer for hours and hours at a time. I mean, I know they did it with saying like, all right, we're going to do these like 15-minute chunks or like whatever they were calling it. And it's going to be 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. But it was for hours throughout the day. And they were supposed to learn, and they're not getting a chance. I mean, Your first year in school, you're staring at a computer screen. He hated it. And we as parents hated it. And Jay Inslee, the guy was in emergency powers for 975 days, kept the schools closed almost longer than anybody else in the country. These are the people now who are going to be making these same decisions. And these are the credible, settled science folks.
You bring up that case. I think similarly of a group of people that were adversely affected through COVID through no fault of their own. And it was the juniors and seniors in high school that were forced to not have some of their best years.
Your senior year of high
their
school,
life.
imagine that.
And didn't have a commencement ceremony, weren't able to enjoy. Like, I loved my junior and senior year of high school, and you feel like you've kind of earned it. That's
the icing on the cake.
Being the head honcho on campus and stuff.
That's all you're working for.
And I look back at them with like a fair amount of pathos. Like, that was so sad what we did to them. And again, they weren't the ones like getting sick or having a huge problem.
That was the credible.
And again, if you had like geriatric teachers that were 70, 80, or 60, or like, there's a way to kind of balance that and say, well, you might not necessarily have to be in the classroom because you're more at risk and that thing. But to make a blanket policy of just shutting the whole system down for so long, it still makes me sick a little bit.
It makes me sick too. And back then I was saying, because I was a parent who had kids who should have been in school. Listen, I don't want any teachers to be at risk. I don't want you to put your life at risk to show up and teach my kindergartner. But stick a young person in there. Put the teacher on break. Let it be an extended summer break. I mean, that's a pretty sweet thing. Chill out. Stay home. Be safe. But I guarantee you there's a young teacher who's in her 20s or his 20s who would be excited to have the opportunity to be an elementary school teacher. It's what they've been working for, who are also low risk for getting sick. And they probably would have jumped at the chance.
And by the way, we're talking about this is after we had a vaccine, after we had an abundance of data that showed who and who not is being affected from this. Like in the early days, okay, we were all in a haze and we didn't really know the extent of how out of control this thing was going to get. So there was a grace period of a few months, I would even argue, to where it was like, we still need to get a grasp of this thing and get a hold of it. And we don't really know.
For an entire school year to be lost.
But we had the vaccine, I think, in December of, I don't know if it was 20 or 21. But it was fairly quickly with Operation Warp Speed.
It was 21.
And once we had the vaccine and the data, that's where roundtable discussions like you and I are having and policy more based on the facts or quote unquote credible information.
But don't forget, we weren't even allowed to have conversations like that. Do you remember that? If you want to post something online, these credible information folks will get you shut out.
Or shadow banned on social media with coming up with talking about either natural immunity or having differing opinions about schools.
It would be like a tisk thing, like, oh, how dare you question
this?
Well,
that harkens back to the whole free speech discussion about, the government interfering with these platforms and what information can be communicated or shadow banned or completely actually removed from their websites.
We didn't plan on spending the whole segment to talk about Thunderbolts. But
we both got going on
Here's my closing thing on the Thunderbolt Alliance.
Yeah.
Here's what I think that I would caution them against doing. Don't make it so much of a political strong reaction to Trump, which is what I think they're doing. Don't make it so much of a strong reaction that you swing too far the other way and put people back in a position or a mindset that we were all at, that we all do not want to go back to. That was crazy times. All the pandemic stuff, the firings, the people losing their jobs, the shutting restaurants down, the thousands of businesses that fell under and were lost because of over-regulation for things that did not even make sense.
Family businesses that have been operating for like 40, 50 years, gone overnight. Made me sick.
So I hope that they don't swing too far back the other way just to prove a point. And I'm praying that it goes better this next time around. But you just gotta make decisions for yourself. They're saying for 6 months and older for everybody. Obviously the federal government's saying if you have a pre-existing condition, then you'll have access to it through insurance. That's the recommendation, which again is in line with what they're also doing in Europe, which I don't think Ferguson's arguing is crazy town.
Yeah, I mean, the onus is on the citizen.
This topic drives me nuts.
To decide who we find trustworthy, and how do you decipher whether or not someone can be trusted? I think you look at their track record.
Yeah.
I think you look at, my dad would always say, the proof's in the pudding. I know a lot of people say that.
Also, who's benefiting from it? What's their motivation for making these suggestions? What's their motivation? I do think there's a lot of big pharma stuff that I'm not comfortable with, and that I have kind of come online about through this whole pandemic that I never even questioned before. I never even questioned it before. Like all the different shots that you and I got as a kid, and now there's like 10 times that amount as that we are giving to our kids now. Those are not even things that I thought to ask questions about. I just said, oh, well, everything must be great because it's science and it's new and it must be great.
Okay,
but we're out of time.
All right. Well, maybe you've already given this answer, but so when you hear RFK and new CDC guidance that says, you don't really need the shots unless you're, this age or this age, and then you have the West Coast Health Alliance saying everyone over 6 months should get it. As just an average person, how do you decide which is more credible or which one to follow? Is it based upon their party affiliation, how distant or how close they are to Trump, what their track record is in previous recommendations, how they handled the pandemic?
How they handled the pandemic would be a big one for me. It's not based on party affiliation because Ferguson and RFK, I don't know if he still identifies as a Democrat, but he's certainly probably one of the most famous Democratic families in the history of our nation. For me, it would be actually looking at what the statistics are for kids that age, what the dangers are, what the risks are, and then making that assessment based on whether or not I think my kid is at a high risk. If they are, I would happily give it to them if my wife agreed. And if they're not, then I would probably take a pause until a little more time has passed. And, I don't want my kid growing a third foot. You know what I mean? These are just
Nobody
things.
wants that.
I don't want that. I don't want them growing like hair on their knuckles at 6 months. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stick around.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
Man wide open, touchdown Seahawks!
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
Do you know someone whose everyday actions make Washington stronger? Someone whose care, service, and connection lift us all. They're Washington's community champions, and WSECU wants to celebrate them this fall. Steve Rabel here. WSECU has been serving Washington since 1957, and they're the only credit union named Forbes' Best Credit Union 5 years running. Now it's your turn to get in the game. Nominate your Washington Community Champion today at mynorthwest.com/champion.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Step into Seahawks game day at the Pro Shop, where the roar of the 12s begins. And official Seahawks gear is always within reach.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
This is the Pro Shop. Visit the official store of the Seattle Seahawks, located at Lumen Field and the Landing in Renton.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours. Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. A former Alaska Airlines pilot has pleaded guilty in federal court nearly 2 years after he tried to shut off a plane's engines mid-flight. Joseph Emerson was off duty, riding in the cockpit at the time. Here's what he told CBS News he was thinking then.
You're not going home. You need to wake up. And that's when I acted. And I pulled the handles that were in front of my face.
Emerson told police he was sleep-deprived and thought he was dreaming. He also admitted to taking psychedelic mushrooms 2 days prior. He'll be sentenced in the coming months. The young man who pleaded guilty to a fatal 2023 shooting on a Metro bus is being sentenced at this hour. Miguel Rivera Dominguez was 17 at the time and was charged as an adult. Prosecutors say he did not know his 21-year-old victim. Also at this hour, the man charged with killing a Ravensdale father 2 years ago is expected to learn his fate. 39-year-old Andrew Boehm is accused of running over and killing a 53-year-old man. Happened when that victim confronted Boehm, who prosecutors say was unloading a stolen U-Haul truck. Turning now to the Closing Bell Report. A new monthly report from the Labor Department shows it is a tough job market. Found just 22,000 jobs were added last month. Economist Diane Swank.
This is a labor market that is hard for those who have already lost a job to find a job, and people are not moving around a lot. That churn is a healthy churn is not there.
Unemployment also ticked up to 4.3%. CBS's Kelly O'Grady says investors are now betting on multiple rate cuts by the Fed.
October and December, now the market is pricing in quarter point cuts as well. And that was not the case prior to this report. So obviously things will change. We'll get revisions. We'll get more inflation reports. But the fact that the investing community is saying, hey, we're expecting 3 cuts now, that was a little bit of a surprise for me this morning.
At the end of the day, a down day on Wall Street. The Dow lost 220, S&P down 20, and NASDAQ lost 7 points. Now to the real-time traffic desk at 1:33. Here's Nate Connors.
Thanks, Aaron. Let's start you in Renton, North 405 and Northeast 44th. We've got a collision. It's been moved to your right shoulder, but that shoulder is really narrow, so it's right next to the main line. So drivers are braking at the scene, and you're backed up to the Maple Valley Highway. Renton to Bellevue is going to take you right around a half hour. Coming the other way, South 405 is crowded from South Bellevue, almost mid-Bellevue now, down to Northeast 44th. Bellevue to Renton, plan on 25 minutes. Northbound 405 at Southeast 8th there in Bellevue. We still have this collision on your right shoulder. We're a good hour plus into this. Tows are on scene, but drivers are jamming up at the scene. It's just a brief backup here. Our lake bridges remain all clear. South 5 into Seattle has improved. We're down to backup from Lake City Way to I-90, Linwood to Seattle at about 25 minutes. Tacoma to Olympia still at 1 hour with backups through JBLM and again between Lacey and Olympia. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A nice day today. Temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s this weekend. Highs will be in the low to mid 70s with a few scattered light showers here and there. Right now 73 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
All right, welcome back to the show. The NFL got off to a really strong start last night. Pretty controversial.
My goodness.
Yeah, like 6 seconds into the game, Jalen Carter for the Eagles was ejected because there's video of him spitting at Dak Prescott, quarterback for the Cowboys.
Yep.
And he was ejected, and whatever, it didn't matter. Eagles ended up winning the game anyway. Did you see this, Greg? And what were your thoughts on this? And did you see now that controversially, it looks like maybe Carter was responding to a Dak Prescott
my goodness,
spit
Jake.
that may or may not have happened?
The film on this in the sports world has been dissected more than the Zapruder film. I mean, what does frame 230 and frame 337 tell us about the spits? Who spat first? Or is the apt comparison Han Solo and Greedo, who shot first? Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about that in the Star Wars universe.
It looks to me like Dak Prescott does spit in their direction.
Okay, but the angle of his saliva is pointed more vertically. So I feel like he was looking to avoid people mostly, but it was a provocative gesture.
I would say that the Dak Prescott spit looks as if he is spitting down at a 27-degree angle,
I concur.
Which to me implies that he was intending for it to go. Now, this is just my...
That's a credible argument.
This is just my... I'm just reading the tea leaves here. I'm not saying this is Bible. It looked to me as if he was spitting toward the Eagles players. Specifically, it does look like he's actually spitting in Carter's direction.
Well, and then Jalen Carter and him, they get in each other's faces, and as they sort of move apart, Jalen deals out the fatal spit.
Yeah, which was a definitive in your face.
It stuck to his uniform, and I've watched it about 300 times, and I get sicker and sicker the more I watch it.
It's really
but I'm a glutton for punishment. Nevertheless, yes, you're right. That was some major drama right at the start of this game. And then there was also a weather delay where everyone's saying, oh, the NFL is so soft now. It's like they used to play in like 10 feet of snow and like weather be damned. You know, this is a violent game. This is a testosterone-fueled game. The show must go on. I think there was a delay for over an hour. The coverage on TV was pretty terrible. You could tell they were not prepared for a delay of that length.
Oh, my gosh.
And then when play resumed, I think either 0 or 3 points were had for the rest of the game. It was like the players were over it. They resumed play on the field right around midnight on East Coast time. I can't imagine being an East Coast fan. Nevertheless, lots of storylines that coming out of this, and I guess the NFL couldn't have asked for a better start to their season.
Everybody's talking about it.
So exactly
week
right.
Jalen Carter reacted after the game. He was sorry about it.
It was intense for me. You know, I wanted to be out there with the guys so bad and just to support and help, even just standing on the sideline. But, you know, things went how it went. You know, we just got to move on. I've made a promise to them boys. It won't happen again.
Jalen, when it happened, were you, like, in a fit of rage, or what was your emotions?
I was calm. You know, I walked off the field calmly. I was not mad. You know, that's pretty much, I couldn't really do nothing else. You know, the rough decision is the rough decision.
The video circulating... People just thought that it was that nothing spurred it on, like he just started it. And then this video starts circulating of Dak Prescott's possible spit, which to me looks like he did start things. So he then is asked about it after the game, and they're like, hey, there's just a couple of videos that are circulating around on social media. It certainly looks like you're spitting. Can you care to explain that? Because he does not get ejected like Carter gets ejected.
I was right here by the two linemen, and yes, I needed to spit, and I wasn't going to spit on my lineman. I just spit ahead, but...
I just spit ahead right in the direction.
I spit in your general direction.
Exactly.
I'd say he was back there where Jory was in that sense, and he asked, or he goes, you trying to spit on me? At that point, I mean, I felt like like he was insulting me. Like I wouldn't spit on somebody. I'm damn sure not trying to spit on you. Like we're about to play a game. I'm wondering why you're trying to mess with the rookie. So when I stepped through, I actually said the words like, "What the hell would I? Excuse me, but I'm probably even more colorful. What would I need to spit on you for?" And he just spit on me in that moment, and it was more of a surprise than anything. Refs obviously saw it through the flag. I was like, hell yeah, we get 15 yards to start the game off. Didn't realize he was getting ejected. I don't wish for anybody to get out of the game. I'm sure he probably regrets that to some extent. I'm pretty sure he knows I didn't try to spit on him or wasn't even aiming to spit on him. So something that's probably going to get a lot of coverage and a lot of attention that feel sorry for him.
What's funny about that cut, I'm just listening to, I hadn't listened to the full thing. The way that he's, the nature in which he's speaking, you would think, if you didn't know the outcome of the game, you would think that the Cowboys went on to win that game. Like he's like, it's a press conference after a game that he just lost.
Yeah, 24-20.
And instead, he should have been like, yeah, I don't want to talk about this. It's embarrassing for everybody, and we lost the game. We're going to do better. Instead, it doesn't sound like that. I think this is one of those controversies that's kind of, it's obviously overblown. People get excited about it. It's just spit. It's not like a fit. It's not
spit
like a fit.
Is one of the most degrading things you can ever have. Do you have somebody spits on
We just had it. I mean, we just had a spitting incident here after that Sounders Inter-Miami game, which we talked about earlier in the week. Remember? Luis Suarez for Miami spit on one of our sideline guys. That to me was worse because he's not a player. He doesn't have any you're punching down in that case. Luis Suarez is worth probably $150 million, and then you're spitting on a guy who's working security at the game.
And there's no pad protection like the NFL players have. They got the shoulder pads.
And they should be very aware that there's a huge difference between people who are there in support of the players and then the players. Like, to be honest, Dak Prescott spitting to me doesn't really bug me that much. I don't think it means that Jalen Carter should have spit on him. He kind of spits on the ground. I've done that in sports before where you're playing against somebody and like kind of as a, it's like a puffing up thing where you're just kind of like, puh, like on the ground. But you didn't spit on a person, but you do maybe in their general direction, just like you made the joke a second ago. I spit in your general direction. It is a slight. It's an insult. It's meant to get somebody's blood boiling, but you're not going over there and like slapping them in the face or doing anything horrible.
Here's what I would instruct all NFL players to do for the remainder of the season, and that is look to the end zone. Look to the words that have been so beautifully and impactfully printed at the end of the end zone. Stop hate. Choose love. Inspire change, Jake. Why aren't they getting the message? They're out there any given Sunday seeing these messages, and yet they're still causing fights on the field. These messages have not worked.
These messages clearly need to be written bigger. On the end zone, I don't think they should.
Way bigger.
I don't even think they should have the team logos anymore. I think they should just have like just big reminders to the players. No spitting. Like I had that in middle school. We had a spitting problem. Kids spit in middle school. They said no spitting, and that was a big sign that the teachers put up.
Here we go. Here's a proposal for NFL officials to consider. At the 10-yard line, instead of it saying 10, it says stop spit. Yeah. At the 20-yard line, we have don't step on a player's crotch after you've made a tackle.
That's right.
At the 30-yard, and it's just very clear. So, like, there's no doubt in anybody's mind. And we're making fun of this a little bit, but here's the thing. The league is actually trying to diminish some of the bad sportsmanship that they've seen on the field the last couple of years.
So for game one, have two players possibly spitting on each other.
That wasn't a good look after their renewed emphasis on sportsmanship. I'll say that.
Choose love,
no, but
players.
Each team was given a video from the league that showed like past incidents of players going at it and saying, this year we're going to punish this more swiftly and more harshly on the field.
The only thing that these players care about is getting ejected from the game. They could give two cares about being fined $20,000, $15,000 or whatever it is. These guys drop $15,000 on like dinner every single night. They don't care. It doesn't mean anything to them. Do you know how much money Jalen Carter has and is coming to him as guaranteed in his contract?
I shudder to think.
But you know what? Choose love, buddy. Read the end zone.
Read
the end zone.
And hate, bro.
Oh yeah, and hate. Yeah, I thought you said and hate. Like choose love and hate. That doesn't make sense. Yes, and hate. Choose love. Please stop spitting. All right, we got a lot more coming up, so stick around. We'll be right back.
The Closing Bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital Common Sense Lending.
The Northwest's trusted news source, KIRO KIRO News Radio.
Police in Federal Way are investigating what appears to be a car explosion.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is live from the neighborhood.
I can't tell you enough how crazy this scene is here.
Coverage you depend on.
A massive police presence in Kent.
From voices you know and trust.
We have an active fire inside one of these buildings here.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
It started as a puddle.
Where?
In the shower.
Uh-oh.
Then the kitchen sink.
Started backing up?
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Clogged up.
Right. No problem.
Beg your pardon?
There's no clog we can't clear.
You're Dan.
From Apollo Plumbing.
This is going to get pricey.
How about $83?
To clear my drain?
Apollo Plumbing clears main drains every day.
For $83?
$83 or it's free.
What's the catch?
No catch. We'll even do a camera inspection.
Why's that?
It's the best way to find the cause of your clog.
And it's included?
No extra charge. Truth is, we hate clogs.
I don't love them.
Seen them all.
Ew.
I promise. There's no clog Apollo can't clear.
Guaranteed.
83 or free.
Goodbye, slow drains.
All it takes is an accessible clean out.
And Apollo gets my drains draining again.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
My heroes.
Just doing our job.
Thank you, Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Hartley here from Wilcox Family Farms. I'm so excited to have my cousin Amelia with me today. So I saw that you visited the baby chicks.
I got to hold 7 of them. They were so cute.
Do you know why Wilcox chickens are so happy?
Because they get to play outside?
Yes.
Happy chickens are healthy chickens.
From our farm to your table, Wilcox Family Farms eggs. Locally fresh
since 1909.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. OpenPhone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. OpenPhone lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you and your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? OpenPhone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With OpenPhone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with OpenPhone. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try OpenPhone for free at openphone.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/free. openphone.com/FREE.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign, and so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025 or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Since our start in 1976, the 12s have grown louder. And our dreams have soared higher.
Your Seahawks, Super Bowl 48 champion.
But we're not done. We're ready to stack more wins.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
To show the impact of 12 as one.
Nobody has left this place. It is pandemonium in the stand.
And create moments no one will ever forget. The 50th season starts now. Get your tickets at Seahawks.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For them, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
Experience the thrill of seeing orcas and humpback whales with Puget Sound Express. Join their family-run tours for guaranteed whale sightings, departing daily from Edmonds. These are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Book now at PugetSoundExpress.com.
Tired of uneven heating, noisy systems, and high energy bills? The Quilt Ductless Heat Pump from Home Comfort Alliance gives you room-by-room control and serious savings with every system, and every system qualifies for max tax credits. Call the Comfort People at HomeComfortAlliance.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. If you guys are not already enjoying us on YouTube, you should be. It's a lot of fun. Spicy conversations happening in the chat line. Go to YouTube, search KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM. I will just say Alan B. Does not seem like he's maybe like my biggest fan in the world. Although
Alan.
No. He's
what did
cool.
he say?
No, he's cool. He's cool. I like Alan. And I do think my goal, every time I see one of these comments that's negative, and they're few and far between, most people love me instantly.
Hey, they're engaging with the show.
They are engaging with the show. My goal is, because I'm such a people pleaser, that's one of my, I don't know, some people call it the downside, but I actually think it's a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to like me, to some extent. It's not always going to happen, but I do want people to like me. So Alan B., if you're listening out there, and it appears as if you are.
Won't you be Jake's friend?
Come on, buddy. Let's be buddies. All right. I got to get to this story. I want to tease the story. We have a guest coming in next segment that you're going to really love to hear from. This is really great. And kudos to Laura. Even though she couldn't be with us today, she's still with us in spirit because she knocked it out of the park. Just the other day, Seattle City Council President Sarah Nelson was doing a presser in front of a Fred Meyer in Lake City that's closing. And we've been talking a lot about those Fred Meyers. Kroger announced that they're closing, I think 6 locally here, 5 Fred Meyers, 1 QFC. They're all owned by Kroger. And they're closing down, and there was much debate over what was the cause of the closure. The Kroger said that it was because it's expensive to do business in these areas, and also they have a lot of product that's just magically walking out the door, and people aren't paying for it. They're thieving it. And so that's costing them a lot of money. So it's just not profitable for them, and they don't run a charity, so they're going to shut these places down. This is also something they warned about when they tried to merge. Do you remember that, when they were trying to merge with Albertsons? Was it just last year? They were trying to do a big merger with Albertsons. They said, hey, if we cannot advance and adopt our business to modern times to try to battle against the Amazon Fresh deliveries and the Walmart Plus deliveries and all these different things, if we can't figure out a way to adapt, then we will have to shut down some local businesses. Governor Bob Ferguson, who was then just the Attorney General, he filed a lawsuit against them, and he said, well, this is unfair, and it would create a monopoly, and it would be bad for workers, and it would stifle competition, yada, yada, yada. So he got it shut down. And lo and behold, exactly what Kroger said would happen ended up happening. They had to shut down locations because the merger, one of the reasons is the merger didn't go through. All that to say, Sarah Nelson, Seattle City Council President, speaking in front of Lake City, giving a speech, and this guy is walking by with his child on the way to the park.
With a baby in a baby carriage.
The most sympathetic of all figures, a good dad walking his baby to a park. And he hears what she's saying, and he's kind of like confounded. He's like, wait a minute, is she really saying what I think she's saying, that she had no clue that this was going to happen, that this place was going to shut down? How is it possible that somebody who's in charge of the Seattle City Council could have been unaware of this? And why is she here if she was unaware of this? So this is what that exchange sounded like. This guy's going to be on with us in studio live in just a few minutes. So listen to this exchange.
No.
It seems like a failure that you didn't know that was going to happen.
I hate it when people don't tell me things.
Best quote of the week.
I fail to believe that no one told you either. And nothing has been done, and this has been going on since well before the pandemic. So to claim that you didn't know and that no one told me, I wish someone told me, that's an outrageous statement. You should have known better, and this is far too late. I think that that's an outrageous statement to make, and that's why I walked over here, and I had to pass drug users. I passed a man with a needle out in his hand.
I gotta say, I'm a citywide elected, and I spend a lot of time all over the city, and you're right. I should have been more attuned to what was going on here. I hate it when people don't tell me things.
That was a pretty spicy little exchange. He's sitting in our lobby right now. He's going to join us in just a few minutes. I'm excited to talk to this guy. His name is Jonathan, and he's going to join us, and he's going to tell us about what has happened to his neighborhood, because that is a big part of the conversation that's happening right now. How do we deal with the people in these neighborhoods that are making it difficult for the community members to live there and to enjoy the parks there and to work there and to shop there? You're literally seeing businesses that are fleeing from Seattle now because of policies that are in place by city officials who seem to be unaware, if you believe Sarah Nelson, that this stuff is happening. And we just did a story yesterday. They shut down 3 parks. City of Seattle said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to fence off 3 different parks because it's so bad. There's so many needles and it's disgusting. And maybe that'll fix the problem. Instead of going out and actually removing some of the homeless encampments and the needles and the places where those things are coming from, they're instead shutting down the parks for these community members.
Well, and let's think about this too in context, and that is Sarah Nelson is the Seattle City Council president, has been in that seat since 2024. And there's a consequential election just 60 days away. She's up for re-election. There was sort of the interpretation the last time some Seattle City Council members were elected that maybe there was a degree of a push in a more moderate direction. Well, all the candidates that are leading, at least from the primary results back in August, I believe, are way more to the far left.
To the left,
and what are the implications of that for areas like Lake City Way if the Seattle City Council goes back in the far left direction? I think that's worth considering.
And as you listen to this guy, and you listen to him talk about what happened to his neighborhood, maybe this will light a fire under the butts of some of the people who are in Seattle right now and who are voting in Seattle and who are also in office in Seattle to get off your butts and to do something about it, lest you lose your jobs and things get worse. All right, he's going to join us next. Stick around. Be right back.
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. an equal housing opportunity builder.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Summer can be the best time of the year, but if it's not feeling good in your house, if it's turning into an oven, some of the problems might be because you don't have enough insulation in your crawl space or attic. In fact, many homes in our region have damaged insulation or even none at all. Yeah, it's Mike Salk here, and you got to get somebody to check on it. That's why you call Crawl Pros. They'll come out and do a full corner-to-corner inspection of your crawl space and attic. And if it turns out that you've got a problem with your insulation, and maybe that's leading to bigger energy bills, guess what? Local utility companies have special incentives to help with the cost of getting your house properly insulated. In fact, if you're a PSC customer and your home was built before 1990, you could qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to get your attic properly insulated. Yep, 95%. Call Crawl Pros if you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic. Schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump has rebranded the Defense Department.
We won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War.
The European Union slapped Google with a massive $3.5 billion antitrust fine over its domination of advertising services. That provoked a furious rebuke from President Trump, who's now threatening Europe with fresh tariffs. AI company Anthropic has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to settle a class action suit by book authors who say the company took pirated copies of their works to train chatbot. Linda Kenyon reports 2 states have issued a warning to tech companies to improve chatbot safety, especially for children and teenagers.
The Attorneys General of California and Delaware have sent a letter to OpenAI saying they have serious concerns about its chatbot, ChatGPT. They cited, quote, deeply troubling reports of dangerous interactions between chatbots and their users. They also noted what they called the heartbreaking death by suicide of one young Californian after he had prolonged interactions with an OpenAI chatbot, as well as a murder-suicide in Connecticut. The letter concludes safeguards in place did not work. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Homeland Security officials detained 475 people today in a raid on a Hyundai factory near Savannah, Georgia. Lead agent Stephen Schrank.
This, in fact, was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of Homeland Security investigations.
Many of those detained were South Koreans. The Department of Homeland Security wants to use a military base in Illinois ahead of an expected increase in immigration roundups in the Chicago area. The naval station Great Lakes would be used as a staging area to oversee removal operations. Senator Dick Durbin.
It is a waste of federal tax dollars. It is not going to reduce crime. It's political theater, and it shouldn't be at the expense of taxpayers and people, the professionals in the United States Navy.
New York's governor has signed an executive order making COVID vaccines available without a prescription in the state.
The Trump administration is basically ignoring science, ignoring health, and making decisions that are just starting now that will have nothing but a negative effect on our families' health.
Several states are establishing their own recommendations for vaccines, and some are doing away with mandates. On Wall Street, stocks finish lower. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Coming up, we'll tell you why police were called out to a football practice in Arlington. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
This report brought to you by your Seattle Seahawks. Renton to Bellevue is a 25-minute drive. It's crowded from the Maple Valley up to Northeast 44th, where we have just one car left there on the right shoulder from an earlier collision. I believe they're just waiting on a tow here. Drivers are still slowing at the scene. South 405, pretty slow now from Southeast 8th to Coal Creek Parkway. Bellevue to Renton, 25 minutes. In Bellevue, northbound 405 approaching Southeast 8th, we still have this collision on your right shoulder. A few cars involved here. One of them is sticking out in that exit lane just a touch. You'll want to move over if you can or slow way down at the scene. So this has North 405 jamming up at I-90, and this backup has westbound 90 backed up to 150th by drivers lining up to hop onto northbound 405. South 5 heading into Seattle, heavy from Northgate to the Convention Center. Just past the Roanoke overpass, we've got a stalled vehicle on your left shoulder. Linwood to Seattle up to 35 minutes. North 5 slows from the north end of Boeing Field into downtown, and Tacoma to Olympia, still a 1-hour commute. 12's tickets for the Seahawks' 50th season are on sale now. Let's pack Lumen Field, bring the noise, and make history together this season. Secure your seats today at Seahawks.com/tickets. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Kids in Arlington had to rush to safety after a man pulled out a weapon. KIRO News Radio's Gwen Baumgartner reports this happened last night outside of an elementary school.
Youth football and cheerleading practices outside Arlington's Eagle Creek Elementary were brought to a halt Thursday evening. Police say a man was driving recklessly on the grass nearby before he got into a confrontation with parents and pulled out a knife. Commander Peter Barrett.
I think there was concerns that he might become not just disruptive, but actually violent towards folks.
A cheerleading coach telling KIRO Radio she worked to quickly move 60 kids to safety inside a nearby building until the man was arrested by police. That 31-year-old from Marysville expected to face charges of DUI, reckless endangerment, and brandishing a weapon. Gwen Baumgartner, KIRO News Radio.
A state senator says he is outraged over the possible release of the man known as the South Hill rapist. Kevin Coe was linked to at least 43 rapes in Spokane in the early 80s, though only one conviction still stands. Senator Mark Chesler says the state no longer considers him a sexually violent predator.
One of the most heinous rapists in state history. If you understand that and you have any empathy for the victims, you would come to the same conclusion I did. He should never be out of McNeil Island.
That sound courtesy of the Senate Republicans. The state will consider Coe's unconditional release on October 2nd. Two men suspected of breaking into the homes of Macklemore and several pro athletes have now been charged with burglary and robbery. KIRO News Radio's Corwin Hake explains.
It's burglary if no one is home, but when two suspects broke into Macklemore's house, the babysitter was there.
In an occupied house, that's how you can get the robbery count and the burglary count for what was taken from the home.
Casey McNerthney with the King County Prosecutor's Office says two suspects have now been charged with a total of 20 counts of burglary and robbery. They're also accused of breaking into the homes of Ichiro Suzuki, Mariners pitcher Luis Castillo, and Dodgers pitcher Blake Snell. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Partly cloudy today, highs in the upper 70s, touching the low 80s in some spots. A few scattered showers for the weekend, but otherwise pretty nice. Highs will be in the low to mid 70s. Right now, 74 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the show. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go. Fridays are the best. I love them. They're the best. Greg Tomlin sitting in for Spike O'Neill. All right. Just the other day, I'm trying to remember. Was this on Wednesday, Greg? Is that when this happened? Would have been Wednesday.
Every day kind of flows together to me in talk radio.
Let's call it midweek.
Sure, why not?
Seattle City Council President Sarah Nelson was in front of a Fred Meyer giving a little speech, and somebody walks by and asks her some really good questions that she should have had answers to. She did not have answers to these questions. I'm going to play that clip real fast. And sitting in studio with us is the guy who happened to be walking by. He's a resident of that neighborhood. He's just a concerned father. And I told Laura, I was like, you got to get this guy. That's the guy we need to hear from. These are the people who are being affected by these stories that we're covering. In this case, the Fred Meyer closing, but more broadly, what's happening in Seattle, why parks are being shut down, needles everywhere. It's disgusting. We need to get this guy. And Laura, somehow, because she's good, she found him. So he'll join us in just a second. But again, this is how this all went down.
No,
it seems like a failure that you didn't know that was going to happen.
I hate it when people don't tell me things.
I fail to believe that no one told you either. And nothing has been done, and this has been going on since well before the pandemic. So to claim that you didn't know and that no one told me, I wish someone told me, that's an outrageous statement. You should have known better, and this is far too late. I think that that's an outrageous statement to make, and that's why I walked over here, and I had to pass drug users. I passed a man with a needle out in his hand.
I gotta say, I'm a citywide elected, and I spend a lot of time all over the city, and you're right. I should have been more attuned to what was going on here.
All right, that was the exchange that caught everybody's attention, and a bunch of news stories reported it. And joining us now in studio is Jonathan, Lake City resident. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. How long have you been in Seattle? When did you come to Seattle?
I first moved to Seattle in the end of 2019, in about November, so right before everything started to shut down for COVID.
And have you been in Lake City that entire time?
No, I was originally down in the Belltown area, and then we moved up in January of 21, we moved to Lake City.
Okay. So we've been doing stories recently about some issues that they're having in parks. There was a double murder that also happened, I believe, near this location. Is that right?
Yeah, just a block away.
Okay, so it's just a block away. Double murder. People in that neighborhood. You might have been one of them, trying to get the city to pay attention to a homeless encampment that was growing there, and they were doing bad things there, as happens in these places. It's dangerous for the community. City kind of ignores it. And then 2 murders happens, and now the city says, okay, well, we got to come in and fix this problem. So you are living in that area. You're seeing all of this stuff play out. Sarah Nelson, Seattle City Council president, is giving a speech in front of Fred Meyer. Had you planned on being there, or was that literally just you walked by and that's what happened?
So she was actually over in front of the Lake City Library about a block away where there is a massive encampment. And what I was to understand was that, following this double murder, that she was coming out to show some kind of support to the neighborhood, that someone was starting to recognize the plight, what was going on there. And very quickly it devolved into a campaign stump speech. She wanted all eyes on her, and if you panned left or right even 5 feet, you would have just seen trash, you would have seen tents, you would have seen needles, you would have seen what is just a destruction of a park. We even tried to get her to recognize that right behind her was an empty playground with not one child on it. And I was trying to explain to her, I'm not the only stay-at-home parent with kids. Why is this park empty every day?
And you have 2 kids, is that right?
I do. I have 2 young boys, a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. And most of the parks in our neighborhood look like this.
And why don't people use them? Is it just because you don't feel safe going there?
It's dangerous. The few parks that we have are either locked up because now the public schools have made them safer by locking the gates so people can't get on them during the day, or they look like this. They're covered in trash. They're covered in people using drugs. People that are out there are also very violent, and they know they face no repercussions for their actions, so they have no interest in hiding anything that they're doing. And so it's just not something that you want to expose your children to. It's just not worth it.
The Fred Meyer that we're referencing here, the Lake City one, that is closing, right? Do you believe her when you asked her that she seemed to be unaware that it was closing?
No, there's no way. That was the last pharmacy in Lake City in that general vicinity. We lost the Walgreens a year ago. We lost the CVS not long before that, and both of those closed due to theft. And you could go into those at any time, and the shelves that weren't bare were completely locked up, and there would be people out in front of them openly stealing things and then reselling them on the sidewalk. And
in front of the location,
directly in front of the location. So to imagine that this last bastion of, really having a grocery store, really having a pharmacy, which also has full-time staff as security guards, they're armed security guards, they're doing the best that they can that must mean she either never came to the neighborhood or she's full of it.
Yeah,
one of the two.
Let me ask you a question as a parent who's trying to raise kids in an area like this. This would drive me absolutely nuts. It's illegal to do drugs. these types of drugs that they're doing, we're not talking about weed. They're doing illegal drugs and they're stealing things, and you're seeing it right in front of your face. Aren't you wondering why they're not being arrested?
Absolutely. So I do know, and she mentioned this as well, that the city council failed to act and pass the law that would have matched the state's law that made open-air drug use a crime. So the city council failed to pass that 4-5, and that's one of the reasons. They're simply not enforcing basic laws in these areas. I mean, and the problem that we have in front of that Fred Meyer, and the reason the Fred Meyer is doing so poorly, is that the drug dealers will park in the Fred Meyer parking lot, and Fred Meyer will refuse because they have a policy to call the police. The police will not respond because it's on private property, so they won't respond even if you as a citizen call. The users will hang out in the bus stop in front of the Fred Meyer, and SPD refuses to respond because anything that is a transit station falls under the purview of the King County Sheriff's Department, and the Sheriff's Department won't take the call. So
you're just like a Bermuda Triangle of nothing.
Yeah, they will not come out, and they know no one's going to come out.
What do you think would fix this? I mean, if you were king for a day, what would be your policy prescription or thing that you would urge city officials to do right away that would make the most lasting difference by where you live?
I think one of the first things they could do is start any aspect of community policing, and we could have the same officers and the same sheriffs in the neighborhoods every day so that they could recognize who's usually in this area, what individuals are a problem, what individuals are not, and that could help us divert resources to the right direction. We could also hold some of these places that are food banks or their semi-permanent housing, things like that. We could hold them accountable for their residents and the damage that they're causing to the neighborhoods as well. Because to have this low-income housing and this no-barrier housing, and for them to just walk across the street and openly do drugs on the sidewalk and then walk back into that housing, that's a failure of that facility as well. And so those facilities, they've come into our neighborhood, and everyone wants to make the NIMBY claim, but those things are already in my backyard, and they're being destructive. So we could shut that down, if not, figure out a way to make them responsible for that. I would love the opportunity to talk with the King County Sheriff's Department, with maybe the captain of the North Precinct, something that would get us as a community to maybe highlight these problem areas to actually get some service there, or just enforce laws that are already on the books.
That would be, to me, such a great place to start. We already have laws. You don't have to, there's no heavy lifting. If you see somebody doing something illegal, it drives me nuts. I drive around the city, and people are like haters online. They're always going to be like, oh, you must hate the city so much. Couldn't be farther from the truth. I have lived or worked in Seattle since I was 16 years old. This used to be a place where when I was barely into my teenage years, I would drive down here on my own, work down here, and my parents never even questioned whether or not I was going to be safe and return home at night. I wouldn't let my own kids do that now. That seems crazy to me, to send them into downtown Seattle for their job to come home at midnight. That would be nuts. And so they just enforce laws that are already on the books. Let me ask you about this Fred Meyer closure. Is that the store you shopped at?
Yes. Yeah, the Fred Meyer is right there on the corner. It's about 200 feet from the house, and one of the issues is the rampant crime there, and a lot of people lately have been pointing to the fact that supposedly these crime statistics are down, that the shoplifting numbers are down, when in reality that's just not true. What has happened is Fred Meyer and Kroger and QFC, they have a policy where they will not report shoplifters. They will not call the police, and they do not allow their employees to do that, and you as a private citizen cannot call either. So the 911 will not take a report unless it's from Fred Meyer, and they obviously won't call. So when shoplifting occurs, it doesn't count as a crime statistic anymore. So of course the numbers look down. No one's counting, but that doesn't stop the theft from happening.
And now you have a store that's no longer going to be accessible to you and your family. You're going to have to go somewhere else. How close is the next store for you?
So the next store is more than a mile away, and which for me personally wouldn't be such an issue as I'm able to drive. But I have elderly folks in my neighborhood that I see walk to this Fred Meyer in the evenings multiple times, and they're going to have nowhere to go. If individuals don't have a way to get around easily, this is also our last pharmacy. So getting to another location is going to be a hassle for these individuals, and they've left us essentially in a food desert. They've left us with no pharmacy, and we can't get a police response, so I'm not really sure what this neighborhood is going to continue to look like.
I'm interested in your particular exchange with Council President Sarah Nelson when you were walking by. Were you aware of who she was before you started hearing her speech and her sort of campaigning, in your words, in Lake City? And then you thought, well, this is a moment I just need to kind of speak out. Or did you have any background on her, the council itself, et cetera? Or did you say, hey, I feel this impulse to do this. I need to say something. There's media here, and this would be an important message to get out. What was your motivation in that moment?
I had no idea who she was. I slowly came to the realization she might have been on city council. Did not realize she was city council president, but I was hyped up. I had too much coffee that morning. I was visibly shaking, and I couldn't take it anymore. It drives me insane, and I work very hard to live there. I know other parents in the neighborhood who work very hard, and we have to attempt to live there. And we're trying to raise families there, and we're trying to make it a nice community. And to see that on a day-to-day basis, and for her to come out there and claim that she didn't know, that's just an absolute failure.
Yeah, I think so. Her position is I think position 9 on the Seattle City Council too. Is like a citywide spot, and I think the 5th district, which I think might include Lake City, is Deborah Juarez. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting to me because, and I'm speaking personally here, but like Sarah Nelson to me has come across as one of the more moderate voices, and like she was trying to bring attention to sort of the plight of Lake City, and I completely understand your motivations and your kind of frustration that had just boiled over. But I also understand, coming from a media perspective, sometimes these stories can kind of take on a life of their own, and what was meant to sort of say, hey, look at all Lake City is going through and we need to bring attention to it, sort of came down to like an indictment of her specifically, which I don't know if you know, she's kind of one of the more moderate, like law and order kind of people that like really wants to help solve these problems and stuff. And it's been interesting to watch the life of the council kind of fluctuate in recent years, and then interesting to see what happens in the election here in November. But what have you interpreted in terms of like the media coverage of this and seeing your face all over TV? Because it really has sort of gone semi-viral.
It was interesting. She did come up and talk to me afterwards, and some of the other individuals that were there did come up and explain to me like, hey, I really appreciate what you had to say and thank you for saying it, but she has gone to bat for us in this neighborhood before, and these are things that I didn't recognize. I mildly took offense to the way she was treating it as a way to get herself reelected, and I didn't care for that. I thought someone was coming down to specifically speak about helping us, and maybe I should have been more patient, but I've been patient for a long time in this neighborhood.
Sure. I don't think you should have been more patient. I think you did great.
But I've had, I was at my kid's potluck for his open house at school the other night, and I had parents who had seen it and thanked me for saying something, and I've had other people mention it to me, and I don't know, maybe it's a difference in style up here between Seattle and where I'm from originally, but I'm not very passive aggressive. I'm very forwardly aggressive, and it
aggressive.
Yeah, it took that moment. I feel like maybe she needed to hear it, and even if she is the kind of person, and I hope that she is, that she's going to bat for these neighborhoods in law and order kind of candidate, there needs to be stronger than that, because what's happening right now is not enough.
Do you think that will the Seattle City Council now act differently now that they have, obviously, like you were saying, you're sick of it. You can't take any more of this. And you talk to a lot of parents who probably feel like they're in the same position that you are. And it's a question I always ask myself, like, when is Seattle finally going to have a breaking point where they try something different? Because it seems like they always try the same thing over and over and over again. And then folks like yourself are just sitting there paying the price where you can't go to parks anymore. You lose your pharmacy. You lose the place where you shop. Your elderly neighbors can't go to their pharmacy anymore. And good Lord knows that they're probably there more than most. And they keep electing the same type of person into office in Seattle. When does that change?
I mentioned that to her, and I was trying to explain to her, I was like, if you keep allowing people to get as angry as I am, I was trying to tell her, like, look how angry I am. There are other people this angry, and if you let people continue to get angry, the political winds will change, and maybe not always for the better, but people will just want to see something change. Of any kind, and that's not always necessarily a good thing.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you spoke out. I hope that more meaningful conversations can actually happen now. I hope they actually take it seriously. It would be really great, especially when we have a mayoral race happening right now. Hopefully they are hearing the story as well. Your thoughts on that real fast?
Bruce Harrell came out, I believe it was yesterday, came out to Lake City to announce some of his plans for food security and food safety. And he took that opportunity to basically say, there's nothing to see here. Lake City's fine. And so he bailed on us about 2 weeks ago as well when he was supposed to come down. And when we did approach him a few weeks ago, he essentially threw a hissy fit and walked out of a meeting in Lake City because he doesn't like to be questioned on where he is failing. And I think that that's unfortunate because we need a mayor who's going to do the right thing. And, you know, I haven't seen that since I moved to Seattle. I haven't seen any movement in the mayoral section.
And per Greg's point, you do have people who are just going to say, you know what, any change is better than what we have right now, the status quo. And then they end up electing somebody like Katie Wilson, who might be far, far left.
I mean, it could deteriorate further is all I'm saying.
No, the truth is it really could. But somebody does need to light a fire under Harrell's butt, and he needs to be held responsible. If he's coming out to Lake City and saying there's no problem, where we're literally doing news stories all of the time about murders happening in those parks, Kroger is shutting down locations. People can't even shop there because the shoplifting is so bad. You yourself, with your stories about what it's like trying to raise 2 kids there, if he's coming to that neighborhood and saying that there's no problems, then he's making a whole heck of a lot of mistakes that he needs to fix very quickly.
I invite him, and just like I asked Sarah Nelson, I invite you to go on the same walks that I have to go on in that neighborhood. Walk with me through that neighborhood and tell me how you feel about it. Tell me how safe you feel.
A ride along.
Yeah. I offer
the cops.
They'd probably feel safer in a ride along. Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If we could get a cop in the neighborhood, a ride along would be nice.
That's Jonathan, Lake City resident, and all around good dude. Jonathan, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in, man.
Thank you all very much.
All right, we got a lot more. We got Friday favorites coming up next. Stick around.
This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
Man wide open, touchdown Seahawks!
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Cold is leaking and rocks are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
Hey everyone, Hartley Wilcox here. And I'm Charlie Wilcox from Wilcox Family Farms. Our family's been raising hens and gathering fresh eggs right here for over 100 years.
That's right. Our hens roam free on green pastures, soaking up the sunshine and living their best chicken lives.
We don't do shortcuts. No cages, no chemicals, just honest-to-goodness eggs laid fresh every day.
And when you buy Wilcox eggs, you're not just getting breakfast. You're supporting local farmers like us. Clean food, and a family that's been doing it right for generations.
So next time you're at the grocery store,
skip the out-of-state eggs and grab the ones with our name on them.
Wilcox Family Farms. Fresh, local, trusted. Find fresh Wilcox eggs at Safeway, Albertsons, or Town and Country Markets. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms eggs, locally fresh since 1909.
Doctors King and Kopstein from K2 Vision.
If you're over 50 and you've been diagnosed with a cataract, or your vision is changing as you're developing an early cataract, you could be a perfect candidate for K2 Vision RLE.
It's inevitable. At some point, typically in your 60s or 70s, you'll have a dysfunctional lens that eventually becomes a cataract. To restore your vision, you will someday need a procedure such as refractive lens exchange.
The question is, are you done with glasses? Do you want to spend your good, active years hassling with changing prescriptions and needing readers?
K2 Vision RLE can give you great vision now, permanently, and you'll never develop that cataract. The procedure is quick and painless, and our state-of-the-art custom lens technologies give highly predictable outcomes.
K2 Vision surgeons have performed nearly 100,000 procedures. We know when RLE is right for you.
Find out. Schedule a free Zoom consultation at k2visionrle.com.
K2 Vision RLE. No glasses, no contacts, no readers.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588. 800-972-0588.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The 7500 EV tax credit expires on September 30th, so head to Carter Volkswagen, Subaru, or Acura today. Discover their great selection, discounts, and financing offers now on the 2025 ID4 or the all-new ID Buzz from Carter Volkswagen, the 2025 Solterra from Carter Subaru, and the 2025 Acura ZDX at Carter Acura. The tax credit is ending soon, so hurry into Carter Motors or visit them at carterseattle.com.
Offer on lease vehicles only. Not all buyers will qualify. See store for details.
Celebrate 31 seasons of world-class jazz with the Seattle Repertory Jazz Orchestra at Dimitro's Jazz Alley. 4 nights of hard-swinging big band favorites with guest vocalist Jacqueline Tabor. This Thursday through Sunday. Tickets at jazzalley.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Well, just as promised, Washington State is pushing back against new federal restrictions on COVID shots. KIRO News Radio's Heather Bosch explains.
One day after Washington U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell said this to Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You're so wrong on your facts. You're interrupting me. And, sir, you're a charlatan. That's what you are.
Washington State made good on its promise to offer its own vaccine guidelines using the advice of leading medical associations. Under Kennedy, the FDA is only recommending COVID-19 shots to seniors and those with underlying health problems. The Washington State Health Department has issued a standing order to make the shots available without a prescription to most residents 6 months and older.
A former Alaska Airlines pilot who tried to shut down a plane mid-flight pleads guilty today. Joseph Emerson was off duty in the cockpit 2 years ago when he grabbed 2 red handles. In a recent interview with CBS News, he described why he did it.
In the dream, in this dissociative state, I thought they were going to wake me up. It didn't wake me up, right? I was in reality. I know that now.
Emerson told police he hadn't slept in days and thought he was dreaming. He also admitted to taking psychedelic mushrooms 2 days prior. Employers added just 22,000 jobs last month. CBS's Jill Schlesinger has more on the August jobs report.
I think when you put the last 3 or 4 months together, what we really do see is a labor market that's slowing down. We saw the unemployment rate tick up to 4.3%. That's the highest level in 4 years.
Seattle Parks Department is planning a major upgrade for next summer's World Cup. KIRO 7 TV's Dee Dee Sun with details.
Construction will start at Westlake Park next month. Crews will address safety needs like better lighting and more vehicle barriers. They'll replace aging infrastructure and improve the overall experience. If all goes to plan, the work should be done in the spring.
Coming up on 2:33 now, we go to the real-time traffic desk. Here's Nate Connors.
All right, Aaron, Global Credit Union has our update, and right about now is when we start to see traffic thicken up through the evening commute. Tacoma to Olympia has already been a 1-hour commute for over an hour, and we're still hovering there. Back up through JBLM and again between Lacey and Olympia. Southbound 167 is packed from Highway 18 into Sumner. Eastbound 18, you're slow from I-5 all the way over to 167 in Auburn. Seattle to Federal Way is going to take you a half hour. South 405 slows from 520 to Northeast 44th near the VMAC. Bellevue to Renton is a half-hour commute. Linwood to Seattle, 35 minutes. Your backup starts near 85th. And Everett to Marysville getting crowded, but still a decent commute, taking you less than 15 minutes. Global Credit Union, where members enjoy no-fee accounts and early payday with direct deposit. Learn more at globalcu.org. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Thank you, Nate. Your forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Still some haze out there today with some wildfire smoke. Should start to cool down, and some scattered showers should improve the air quality this weekend. Right now, 73 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
All right, welcome back to the show. Super fun week, really great time. Greg has been with us all week, and so Greg, I'm sure you're aware of this already, so you've done this with us before, but the Friday favorites, we look back,
yes.
We choose our favorite story, and then we get to talk about it and discuss again with the audience. So why don't you start us off, Sophia? I don't think you're just with us today, so it'd be unfair to ask you to choose one thing that you thought was super special, if you could even do that. But Greg, why don't you start us off?
Well, Jake, if you know me at all, and I think you do, no surprise where I'm going to go with my favorite story for the week. Kids returning to school en masse, and lots of questions about whether or not small children, and even high schoolers, should be able to take smartphones to school and use them throughout the day. Yeah. Well, the North Shore School District has decided pre-K through 8th grade, no devices allowed whatsoever. Hear, hear, job well done. And for 9th through 12th graders, phones are going to be prohibited during instructional periods, allowed during passing breaks, lunch and snack times, allowed before and after school, and medical exceptions by approval. I think they should go even farther, but at least it's a start. It's a movement in the right direction. And King 5 spoke with one of the principals from the North Shore School District.
The teens are really, really smart and know that not using it during classes for their own benefit.
North Creek High School's principal says the soft launch here has already paid off.
All of the teachers have reported much better engagement, and I think that eye contact piece is better.
Making future...
There's no question about it, Jake, and I actually believe that you and I talk about partisan fighting and fragmentation in America, and how we're just getting nastier when it comes to the left and right engaging with each other. I actually think this is maybe the one bipartisan issue we have left currently, and that is we can get together on both sides of the aisle and say we got to protect our kids better, and we have to create more experiences for them where they're experiencing things firsthand in the real world and not simply swiping on these golden rectangles with their thumbs throughout the entire day. I also read an extremely alarming statistic, Jake, and that is Gen Z, that is the youngest generation right now. By the time they get to their older years, 60, 70, 80 years old, they will have spent 25 years on their smartphones.
Oh, that's depressing.
25 years,
That's
Jake.
depressing.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, can you imagine a screen
We got to do
time-
something about it.
A screen time alert popping up? You have spent 25 years on your phone.
I mean, ours is probably at least years. And here's the crazy part. I didn't get a smartphone until like 2012, 2013. I was already 30 years old.
I know. Imagine growing up with this just being
From
a
the
ubiquitous
moment-
thing that's always in somebody's hand.
Yeah.
Gross.
So more schools should be switching to these type of policies. If you haven't done it already, if your kid's district hasn't done it already, call your administrators, call the principal and say, why don't you have a no smartphone rule? I know there's a worry from a lot of parents, like, I won't be able to contact my kid. We did just fine before smartphones were
Parents
ubiquitous.
still were
and
able
we'll
to
do
contact
just
their
fine
children.
when they put them in a little pouch or in a locker for the duration of a school day.
Let me address one thing that you said a little bit ago. You were saying that how divided everything is now.
Yeah.
I actually don't think it's quite as divided as is portrayed in like mass media. I do think that if you were to watch, like we have a couple of screens going on in here. If you're to watch CNN, you're going to see CNN reporting on like how horrible things are on the right. And if you watch Fox News, you're going to see Fox News reporting on how horrible things are on the left.
True.
But if you talk to normal people and you just discuss things with normal people, like I don't know what our guest, we just had a guy named Jonathan here who's from Lake City. I have no idea what his politics are. I didn't even ask or even care. We have similar experiences because we're experiencing similar things in life. Maybe you're in the same phase as life. I mean, he has young kids, I have young kids, you have young kids. Those are the things that actually matter. Like who gives two cares about politics? So I don't think that people are actually, but I do think that we're kind of led to believe, we're walked down this path that it's so important because everything that I see on my phone is an algorithm feeding me things that it thinks that I like based on things that I click on. And it's doing the same thing to you. It's showing you different things than me. It's showing Sophia different things than it's showing both of us because she's young and hip and cool.
Yeah.
So these things are happening at all times. And that was not something that we had to deal with before because there wasn't like a phone in your pocket telling you what to think and the things that it thought you liked. So I don't think we're as far off if you actually talk with people and have real conversations, which is why I think it's so vitally important that, and not just for political reasons, also for like developmental reasons, which is why I think it's so important that more schools do what North Shore School District is doing and ban phones from being a part of kids' daily lives. Like give them a chance. Give these kids a chance.
To develop,
somebody save the kids.
To develop their critical thinking skills instead of being told what to think
also,
by the phone.
Develop the ability to like look up into somebody's face. Like look up into somebody's eyes and not like see them in the reflection of your phone.
Pretty fundamental, yeah.
It's crazy to think about if I was a 14-year-old who was very socially awkward and did not enjoy getting out there and meeting people and talking with new people, if I had the safety device of not only having a phone accessible, but also not being under the pressure of having to talk with other people because they weren't looking at me either. They were staring at their phone.
Jake, I can't tell you how glaringly apparent this is when my kids have friends over. I know instantly which teenager, 14-year-old, my son's 11, so not quite a teenager yet, but I can tell which one of their friends have like completely like helpless cell phone addictions.
Sure.
And which ones come in, shake my hand, look me in the eye, ask me how I'm doing, answer my questions directly, and I go, oh, you must have some kind of restriction. You've been told. Other friends come over, their head is in TikTok the whole time. They're uninteresting, they're boring.
This is good parenting.
They're completely hooked to the screens, and I'm
100%.
like, Penny, your friend is just obsessed with that little thing and like little phone, and it's like ruining her. I can tell. Like, and we pointed out to her as like an educational thing. Can you see the difference between your friends that like engage with us and the ones that don't even look up for 2 seconds?
And which one do you want to be? Absolutely.
Which one do you want to be?
And you think about, honestly, you think about how divided it seems that we are as a society nowadays because people are so, they're just like chased around by these phone demons. But imagine, and we've only had it, and we're all adults whose brains, most of us, mine is still working on it, but like most of our brains have already developed past that 24-year-old age where they stop.
Yep.
Imagine growing up in a world where you're fed a constant stream of only what you like for your entire life. By the time you get to be a voting adult, God help us.
God help you. Yeah, right, exactly.
So get these phones out of your kids' hands. That's why I'm not letting my kids have them until they're 18, so they can learn to think for themselves. Because these phones, I guess this is the only thing we're getting to today, and that's fine. I honestly,
what's your Friday favorite here? We're getting sidetracked.
This is fine. This is now my Friday favorite too.
Okay.
I honestly believe what these will do to your kid's brain, all of the functions that are so inherent in living a full life, which will fail to develop because they're only being fed what they're interested in. The dopamine rush that they're addicted to every time they click on their phone to go, pop, 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 somebody liked the thing, pop, 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 pop. It's going to ruin lives, and we're just at the beginning of it. And so do yourself a favor. I'm not going to say that I'm the king of this knowledge, but what my family is doing, We're not going to let our kids have phones until they're adults. I can't stop them from having them until they're adult. But we're going to severely limit them because I have a general fear, and people are already texting, Jake, you're an insane idiot. That's fine. And I don't care. Like, honestly, I don't care that people think that. That's totally fine. I am genuinely worried that if my kids have access to these, specifically because I have boys too, it's a whole different thing. If I had daughters, maybe I would feel different. I'm worried that my boys will not develop into men that they need to be someday if they have these stupid things in their hands at all times. And that's my biggest worry. And because my job is to raise these boys to be men and not grown children, that's a decision we've made.
You know, I'm in 100% agreement with you. Your oldest is in 5th grade. I will just say, stick to it, but the pressure is just about to mount. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and you will start hearing, Dad, why am I the only one, Dad, without this? And I want you to stay strong.
I will.
And I'll just be curious to see if you moderate that position at all or slightly give in to a varying degrees,
Can
even
I tell
just
you
a
why,
little.
Can I tell you real fast why I can't?
Yeah.
Really quick. I made a bet with Dory when I was first having my first. This is something that I had even said back then, like way back when my kid was 1, because I saw this coming down the road. And I told Dory, I was like, I'm never letting them have a phone. They're not going to have it until they're 18. And he goes, just you wait. Because he had like teenage daughters at the time.
Yep.
And he goes, just you wait. It gets very hard. And this isn't like 2015, 16. And we made a bet. Now, I'm never going to collect on that bet. Obviously, Dory's no longer with us. But now I hold it up as like a challenge. And I bet him, it was like, I think we bet, he suggested 10 grand, but Dory had a lot of money. I don't. So I said $1,000. I'll bet you $1,000. So I'm holding on to that like a some goodwill in my back pocket to stay strong.
Godspeed, my friend.
Godspeed. We'll see what happens. The pressure hasn't hit yet. You're totally right. Pressure hasn't hit yet. All right, we got text messages next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Man wide open, touchdown Seahawks.
Celebrating 50 years of Seahawks football with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
Number 71, Walter Jones, left tackle. The anchor to the left side of the offensive line for the Seahawks that went to the Super Bowl. One of the best players in franchise history.
Since the beginning, KIRO is where Seattle and the Pacific Northwest have heard the Seahawks play. Here's to the next 50 years.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Upgrade your home comfort and save 20% during the Bob's Heating preseason furnace sale. With great savings plus free financing on heat pumps, water heaters, generators, and more, our award-winning team has what you need to stay cozy this chilly season at a cost you're comfortable with. Voted best in the Pacific Northwest, we're honored to be your dedicated home comfort company since 1957. Call Bob's and save today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
1877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Mariners fans, it's time to bring the noise to T-Mobile Park. This lineup is loaded up and locked in. From every moonshot.
Now Raleigh obliterates this. How far? Way back there.
To every how in the world did he catch that moment?
And Julio makes the catch. No fly zone in full effect.
Be here as the squad shuts the door and lights the W.
Munoz looking for the final out. Here's the stretch, and the strike three called, and the ball game is over.
This is our house.
They're going crazy here at T-Mobile Park.
Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
Be here for the stretch run at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners are back next week for a 7-game homestand, including a 3-day Logan Gilbert Funko Pop giveaway Monday to Wednesday against the Cardinals. Plus, all 3 games are Mariners value games, which means you can score seats for as little as $11. Get your tickets today at mariners.com.
Bathfitter just hit a big milestone, 42,000 installations in Western Washington. To celebrate, Bathfitter's offering payments as low as $125 a month. Ursula Royteen here. I chose Bathfitter Northwest because they work here, they live here, and they love making bathrooms better for their neighbors. Custom fit tub and shower solutions are installed in as little as 1 day, and every installation is backed by a lifetime warranty. Call Bathfitter or visit bathfitternw.com to schedule a free consultation. This special offer won't last.
Progressive's Teen Driver discount could lower the cost of insurance for your teenager and save you some money. And then you can still spend money on them. Because just when you think you have a grasp on spending, new sneakers. And then it's money for a school field trip. And of course, spending money. Oh yeah, and a new phone to replace the one they dropped in the toilet. Oh, don't remind me. So just get Progressive's Teen Driver discount. And then you can continue to spend money on them. Endlessly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states and subject to terms and conditions.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Celebrate 31 seasons of world-class jazz with the Seattle Repertory Jazz Orchestra at Dimitro's Jazz Alley. 4 nights of hard-swinging big band favorites with guest vocalist Jacqueline Tabor. This Thursday through Sunday. Tickets at jazzalley.com. Nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all. Sound like your home? Then call for your free inspection.
InsulationNorthwest.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. We got text messages galore, lots of stuff to get to. Sophia, who has done a fantastic job filling in for Laura today. Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, on law enforcement dressing as the opposing team at football games, 253 said, not the first time SPD has done this. I wonder if the officers actually have seats or just walk around the stadium. It totally feels like entrapment.
Yeah, 100%.
And Mark from Graham says they are probably dressing up as Niners fans so the media will create coverage about all the police undercover. That way the people are hesitant even when there's not a cop around to harass 49er fans, worrying that it might be a cop. Well, yes, and much more bang for the buck, according to the police department, probably.
What are the what are those guys called again? I'm blanking right now, but they fly on planes and
pilots.
No, not pilots. You know what I mean? There's like the secret cops.
Oh, air marshals?
Air marshals. Yeah, this reminds me of air marshals. Gina in Chimicum says, rather than needing more cops, how about fans exercising self-control? Yes, Gina. That's a great idea.
a novel idea.
That's a great idea.
And to that point, 425 said, I remember a sports game in Seattle where a guy sitting behind us was so drunk he spilled beer all over my 8-year-old. Security didn't care, and they kept serving him more beer. And sadly, that was the last pro sports game we went to. Fans have gotten out of hand.
And on NFL Spitgate, NFL kicked off last night. A player was ejected before the game even really began for spitting on Dak Prescott's uniform. Larry in the 253 says, why does anyone really need to spit? It makes no sense to just spit for the sake of spitting. I don't spit unless it's in my bathroom sink. Here's a question for you, Jake. Pro or anti spitting in the kitchen sink on occasion? I know some people are really grossed out by anyone spitting in the kitchen sink.
Your question raises a lot of questions.
This is a question of our time.
Your question raises a lot of questions. Why are you spitting in the kitchen sink?
Sometimes I don't know.
You just got to spit? You got a little bad taste in your mouth?
Yeah, a little build-up. Or
why don't you ask me if I pee in the shower? Like, it's gross. People shouldn't do that.
Oh, well, so that tells me a lot about you.
Oh, okay. Well,
isn't it all going to the same place? Somebody help me out here.
I think this might be the most divisive topic of the day.
That's what I'm saying. All
right. Let's move on to crime in Lake City. 425 says, my 24-year-old daughter moved into an apartment on Lake City Way. After living there for 4 months, she moved out and was lucky to find someone to take over her lease because she felt so unsafe there. This apartment complex was right next to the Fred Meyers. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of stories. We're getting a lot of text messages from people in this area who are just saying totally agreeing with what Jonathan was saying. It's a totally unsafe neighborhood, and they need to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Steve in downtown Seattle said, I totally agree with your guest, and there is a complete lack of urgency, but I also think that Sarah Nelson is part of the solution compared to many other previous councilpersons and others running against her in this election. If we vote against Sarah Nelson, then it will be even worse.
On the subject of smartphones and kids, it's either Tina or Tina, sorry for the mispronunciation, on YouTube. I wish I'd never given my 15-year-old a phone at all. It was mainly for safety as she walked to and from school, and I was a single working mom. But now it's too late. I mean, she gets mad when I take the thing away.
Oh my gosh.
Delay is the way.
Kamala in 206 says, my kids will have call-only phones and only when they are going out with friends. Yes, these are phones. I think they're called jitterbugs. They have big fat numbers. They're made for the old people and folks like myself.
They actually make little watches for kids too, little smart watches. But you can only have 3 numbers on it and only text 3 numbers, which is kind of cool and has a GPS in it.
We're almost out of time, so I want to read these other 2 on smartphones really fast. James in 425 says, I have 3 kids, 25, 21, and 18. We did not give them phones until they graduated high school. It made a big difference. You are more likely to find them now with a book in their hands versus a phone. James, that's the way. Just if you don't give it to them, then they don't know what they're missing, and it gives them a chance.
That's like seeing Sasquatch in the wild now. A kid reading a book out in the open.
It's
often
talked about, never seen.
And for me, because I'm in my early 20s, kind of seeing this, I'm always fighting those 2 demons of like knowing it's wrong to be on my phone, but I also grew up kind of with a phone in my hand for a lot of my teenage years. So it's like, I've been trying to make an effort to pick up a book a little bit more.
Where's the healthy balance? Yeah.
Exactly.
And then finally, because it makes me look good, 206 says, Jake, you are correct. Anyone who's telling you that children need smartphones are lying to you and themselves. Thank you, 206. Fun week of shows. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Sophia, great job today. Greg, you're going to be back in with us on Monday.
Back in on Monday, like it or not.
No, we like it. We like it a great deal. Have a great weekend to everyone out there. I hope you have a wonderful time and you're safe and you get some good family time. And we will see you back here on Monday. John Curley's coming up next. Bye-bye.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We continue to be in recovery mode on northbound I-5.
Watch live on YouTube or the KIRO News Radio app.
Newfangled idea of having to see the people while they're talking.
The office, the gym, wherever you are.
Get on the YouTube channel. The whole gang's there.
KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM, powered by mynorthwest.com.
With Progressive, it's easy to reach customer service with our app, website, chat, or by phone. Because when getting help is hard, it's not help at all.
Little help. A little help over here.
Thank you for calling Bench Press Assistance.
What?
Due to excessive gym volume, all available spotters are currently lifting heavy weights off the chests of other bench pressers.
Seriously?
Please continue to hold, and we will remove the barbell from your chest in the order in which your cry for help was received.
Getting assistance should be easy. With Progressive, it is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. OpenPhone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. OpenPhone lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you and your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? OpenPhone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With OpenPhone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with OpenPhone. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try OpenPhone for free at openphone.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/free. openphone.com/FREE.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
I had pain, I had numbness in my feet. That pain and that numbness just got worse and worse and worse as time went on.
This is Greg describing life with neuropathy.
I went to 5 podiatrists, tried different treatments, tried different orthotics, tried different shoes, had cortisone shots in the tops and the bottoms of my feet. Saw a neurologist. All my medical doctors said, can't help you. Live with the pain. You're not going to be able to sleep. This is your life. And then I just gave up until I found Sound Pain Solutions.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Our neuropathy treatments can rehabilitate damaged nerves. We use FDA-cleared, non-surgical, drug, and pain-free procedures that help neuropathy sufferers like Greg find relief.
I feel better. I mean, just feeling better is huge.
If you experience numbness, shooting or burning pains, or loss of balance, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025 or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Your best source for local news, KIRO Newsradio.